It is time yet again for the fall edition of the Poprika Draft. This edition is the superhero movie draft. Things are going to run a little bit more intense because we actually have a prize with us this time around. The winner of this bad boy is taking home the Infinity Gauntlet.
And it looks big enough to fit on Thanos' hand.
Yeah, yes. it's not
massive.
Built for a Titan, not for a normal mortal.
It looks comically large on me.
Brandy can fit in the whole glove.
Yeah, I thought she went to the bathroom or something like that, and she just stepped out of the gauntlet.
Next year she's just cosplaying as the gauntlet.
That's such a great idea.
There you go. We have the usual players, if you've heard the voices. We have two of our usual players here. Right beside me, we have former Poprika host, the Choose Our Own Adventure host, and the Test Your Bite champion.
Yeah.
Jermone Jackson.
Poprika Hall of Famer.
And Poprika, apparently he's a Hall of Famer.
He's the Poprika Triple Crown winner.
Yes.
Didn't even know there was a Paprika Hall of Fame.
You
I
do
made
now.
this shit and I'm not in it.
I'm the Paprika Royal Crown winner.
I'm the Poprika Crown Royal winner. Across the table, we have Mr. Brian Martin. How you doing, sir?
We do. I'm doing fantastic.
Excellent.
I left a baby shower to be here. I just want you guys to know that.
Apparently a future Hall of Famer. Brian Martin. And then we have returning, first time since our all MCU show, we have Miss Brandy Blanton. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Excellent, excellent. Are you ready to get your draft on, ma'am?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right, then. Well, before we do anything else, like I said, this is the superhero movie draft. Very specific, not comic book movies. There's not going to be any Snowpiercers or Road to Perditions or any of that kind of stuff in here.
Boo. Let's go scribble through half of the...
X-Men 3 is on the table, however.
No blue is the warmest color. God damn it.
I'm out.
No Scott Pilgrims, no none of that, unfortunately. So before we get into this draft, we need to figure out what our draft pick positions will be.
While we're drawing numbers, I would like to point out that I am drinking the Salud Cerveceria Banana Keys, which is a divine beer produced locally.
But Salud.
It's an 11 and change, I think, alcohol content there.
And it looks like
no
I am
lightweight.
drafting second, as I always do.
Are you kidding
Brandy
me?
is first.
No.
Come on, baby. The hell kind of number is this?
That looks like an A.
Son of a...
4.
You've got to be kidding. So we are, first of all,
truly-
we're doing the exact same.
3 in a row.
Three
Assuming
times in a row.
the role of Pete Lentz is Brandy Blanton. And the rest of us are playing the roles for which we are now famous.
We are now destined. I kind of feel like we just shouldn't draft or pick numbers.
Well, I'm fucked. All right.
All right, so the way this draft works, for those of you who play fantasy sports, we're doing a mock draft, which means it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 again. So we'll snake around, as they call it, the snake draft. I am drinking while Brian is pouring his beer.
This looks like the stuff that Jed Clampett found in his backyard.
I'm drinking a Southern Tier Pumpkin. Of course, it is that season. 8.6 alcohol by volumes over there. The last time I saw Mr. Martin was at...
we were imbibing of some of this.
Imbibing of Pumpkin at Dancy.
Just a word of warning, if you find yourself near Rum King, avoid it unless you want to be blackout shit-faced for the next 4 days.
In other words, I'm going to the store after this to find this Rum King. Although, thank you for that tip on the chocolate nitro joint.
Chocolate nitro,
Well,
best
changed
Southern Tier
my
thing,
life.
and that keg kicked the next day. So we got in there. Last
in
minute.
due time. Are you an imbiber of the alcohols?
I'm not. But,
Okay.
you know.
All right. Well, then
Are you
have
an
company.
imbiber of the sparkling water that Jermone is?
Well,
a
right
fan
now I'm having water, so I'm being real boring.
So it's not even
Yeah.
sparkling? That's
No.
It
weird.
doesn't sparkle? And Jermone is here with his usual.
I question your commitment to sparkle water.
All right. So, we ready to get into this?
Let's do this.
All right, then. Let me pull up my running list of commentary for this on Facebook. All right, Brandy, Miss Blanton, the floor is yours. What is your first pick?
Black Panther.
Oh, wow. All right.
Did not see that coming.
Right out of the gate.
You want to chat about it for a second there?
Well, I honestly think it's one of the best superhero movies of all time. It's one of the only ones to get serious Oscar noms.
True.
It's just the production all the way around. I love the costumes. That's probably my favorite part as a cosplayer.
Yeah.
The storyline is great. It's relatively true to the source material, which you can't say for a lot of the origin movies for Marvel too.
Yeah. As a completely heterosexual male, when Killmonger takes his shirt off, I was like, "Oh my, Beefcake McGee on the
And
screen."
he's so bumpy.
Get that eczema looked at, bro.
Damn, dude. Need some balm.
Yeah, my favorite memory of that movie is I got to see a screening of it. No, it wasn't the screening. It was the first time that the first day the movie dropped. A motherfucker walked in there with a plate of fried chicken, greens, and black-eyed peas.
No kidding. I mean,
A
like,
whole soul food plate when he walked into, and the theater was just cool with it. Like he
one
was
of my
walking
coworkers,
around.
when that movie came out, said, "You need to understand, this is our red carpet." Because I mean, every single African American in that theater was dressed to the
That's
like
the
the
nines,
hilt.
man.
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that at the screening too.
It was so great. It was so great. But it was, that movie came out the day my son was due to be born. And the deal I had made that my wife had not agreed to was that if she went into labor during the movie, one, we weren't leaving, and two, the boy's name would be T'Challa.
Unfortunately, son of Brian's name did not end up being T'Challa, but he is still named after a
He
wonderful...
is still named after a Marvel Comics hero who may or may not come up at some point during this sit down
I'm
here.
sure will come up during this sit down. All right, then. The first pick goes to Brandy Blanton with the Black Panther. It goes on over to me. I'm going to go ahead and snatch Infinity War off the list.
Good pick. All right, I see. I thought I knew what your process was over there, and I think I was right. You were on the fence between Endgame and Infinity War, yes?
Yes, I had Endgame at the top of my list when I was compiling this for a good bit, and then just earlier today I changed it to Infinity War.
I want to hear your rationale for that, because I have a rationale too, and I think they're probably the same.
I mean, my rationale is simple. I just heard a lot of people, which surprised me at first. A lot of people was like, I enjoyed Infinity War more than, because I think the hype leading up to Infinity War was just absolutely ridiculous nonsense. And then when we get to the hype machine building for Endgame, it just wasn't as impactful because we already knew what half the story was. So coming into it, I'm just like, oh, we get to see how this whole thing concludes. But going into Infinity War and just the build up and the spectacle of the whole thing, I think that was a huge, huge impact. We got to see some of our favorite characters teaming up for the first time. We get to see the Stark and the Doctor Strange interaction there, and you get to see the Guardians hanging out with them too. And it was just weird to see all these different combinations on screen. And by the time you get to Endgame, it's like, well, we've seen this already. But, you know, and then like me and Jermone were talking about, you get, at least in Endgame, you get that Thanos in his prime, which is wonderful.
I think that Infinity War is the payoff for 10 years of Marvel movies. I don't think Endgame is the payoff.
I think Infinity War is the action payoff. Endgame is the emotional payoff.
Yeah. I think Infinity War is the thing that gives you everything you were tuning in all this time to see. And then Infinity War is the thing that, or Endgame kind of gives you a little love pat on the way out.
Yeah.
All right,
little pat on the butt.
Like, hey, good job for 11 years. All right, then. I should have pointed out at the beginning, each of us is only allowed to draft 4 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies.
How many DC EU movies are we allowed?
There's only, what, like
10?
5?
Yeah, we can do all 10 that. Nobody fucking, you want to lose? Draft all 10.
There you go. All right, then. The floor is yours, Mr. Jermone Jackson.
Okay, for my first pick in the superhero draft, I was thinking of a movie that probably transcends the superhero genre. It's the movie that changed the Oscars, basically, of The Dark Knight.
Good call.
All right, he did it.
Very good call.
All right, nice.
Of course, I mean, yeah, you can't. What can you say about Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker in there? But like Gary Oldman, was it Christian Bale, Michael Caine? Good Lord, it was.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. There's a couple other randoms on there. Maggie Gyllenhaal,
Maggie Gyllenhaal,
Aaron Eckhart.
yeah, Eckhart. Good. Who wasn't in that movie?
Everybody over in Marvel wasn't in that movie.
The dude from Ant-Man was in there. Like,
from
the ex-con.
Kurt from Ant-Man.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I ever saw that guy in. I think
It's probably, and it's I would honestly say it's probably my favorite movie. Period.
Anthony Michael Hall is in it.
Yeah, Anthony Michael Hall pops up in there.
I didn't know it was him for the longest.
Cillian Murphy. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good cast.
Yes, it's like they say. I think now it's to that point where some of the best of the superhero genre is like they've kind of delved into other genres now, and that just happen to have superheroes. Like Batman is basically like a Scorsese movie that happens to feature Batman.
It's heat.
Yeah.
It is the heat of comic book movies.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the old Dark Knight over there?
So that was my top movie that wasn't an MCU for a lot of the same reasons. Because I mean, it's just solid, and it has a lot of rewatch value.
Yeah.
It kind of goes out of, like you said, it kind of goes out of that normal genre of superhero movies too, which is what I like in my favorites.
Such an amazing portrayal of the Joker.
Yeah.
That nobody. I think you have to really work hard to remember this, but the furor, the internet furor about Heath Ledger being cast as the Joker to begin with was a lot like our Pat getting cast as Batman.
Yeah.
Correct.
It was just this immediate backlash of this fucker, but like,
Yeah.
it's a role that drove him insane.
literally killed him.
It
Literally
literally
killed him.
drove him into the grave.
Boy, that would have been weird if he played it shittily, wouldn't it?
And we're never going to forget it. It's so iconic and so unique. Like, it's iconic in a way that doesn't diminish any of the other Joker performances. That's what's so amazing about it.
Yeah, Jared Leto just diminishes himself, so he kind of takes himself out.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. But that scene where he comes in and does the pencil trick,
Yeah.
and trash talks Michael Jai White and all of that.
Is that
It's
the
like-
first time you see him since
No,
the
it's-
bank heist?
No.
Yeah, it's the first time
yeah,
after
yeah,
the bank
yeah.
heist that you see
Okay,
him,
yeah.
and it's so mesmerizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to sit down and rewatch it for this, and I was like, oh, I don't have a spare 9 hours to watch this movie. So I didn't get a chance.
And it was like the sequel that like you actually saw where things escalated from Batman Begins. Like it had a logic. Batman was more logical than than most other superheroes in these superhero trilogies. He's like, look, I can't do this forever. I have to find a successor.
Yeah.
This has to end somehow. He's actually literally trying to stop this war on crime. And
Yeah, ain't no stopping the war on crime in Gotham. All right, then. Good first pick there, Mr. Jackson. And Brian, with your first of 2 picks.
All right.
oh boy.
So I think I may have foreshadowed this because we were talking about Infinity War a second ago, but I am going to go Avengers Endgame.
All righty then.
Emotional payoff, yes, but it's nothing but 3 straight hours of fan service. But the thing is, everyone involved, from the filmmakers to the performers to the audience, has deserved every minute of that fan service. And there is something in there for everybody to just cheer and get chills over.
And to argue about.
And to
And to argue about it. The one thing that I didn't understand was, everybody gets all salty about the scene where all the ladies come together and like, it's just fan service. I'm like, this movie's 3 hours of a fan service.
If that one moment of phone service
is fan service,
if that one moment of fan service didn't work for you, the other
the other
200
hours
minutes
and
of it,
50 minutes.
it's insane how much they pack into this movie, and all of the comedy beats that land, and all of the crazy directions the movie goes in.
Yeah.
I am amazed that they were able to keep so much of what happens in this movie under wraps for so long, including after it released. Like, I cannot believe the fan community as a whole largely said, let's have a spoiler boycott on this movie. I can't believe we were able to do that. I'm so proud of us.
I know somebody that didn't see it until it came out on digital, and I was like, how was it? And she's like, not a thing had been spoiled for me this entire time.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
But the moment that hammer starts to lift is one of the best moments I've ever had in a theater.
Yeah.
Because I have been jonesing for that since this whole thing started. And
Since Age of Ultron there?
Since we found out Cap and Thor were going to be in movies together. I'm talking like Iron Man 2 era. That was when I was like, that fucker better pick up that hammer eventually.
Yeah.
And then he does, and it is so great. That shot where he just clocks Thanos in the jaw, and he's flying through the air like, I want that. I want my entire wall to just be that image at home. Like, just plaster that image on my wall. I could stare at it all day. It's so great.
How many times did you see this movie in theaters?
I only saw it twice in theaters.
What the first time? Did you see it the first night?
Yes, I saw it Thursday night. I got off work at 11. Went and saw it at midnight.
Nice.
And it was great because the theater was still packed. I wasn't I figured most people were going to go earlier in the day. But we went at midnight. I screamed when all the girls got together. I screamed when he lifted the hammer. When I kind of thought that what was about.
Yeah,
what was about to happen.
there was
I
definitely a
started,
scream. There was a girlish shriek coming from my seat. I was like, I fucking knew it.
What do you remember? What your theater geeked out at the most?
Honestly, probably all the girls together.
Yeah?
Because it was mostly they were
Yeah.
mostly women in my showing.
Yeah, my slow ass is like, hey, there's a lot of chicks in this scene. That's on purpose. Oh, that's what's up. That's pretty dope.
I think like between Cat with the Hammer and then On Your Left. That's when.
Oh, yeah.
On Your Left.
That's when we erupted.
Yeah.
On Your Left. What a great beat to revisit.
Yes.
You know,
That's great.
Another really really great beat to revisit though is the Hail Hydra in the
Yeah.
elevator.
Yeah.
Like that was the thing. I don't expect that. I don't expect Loki to vanish in a portal with the Tesseract. I don't expect Robert Redford to show up in the same scene.
Yeah.
His
Like,
last acting scene ever.
It's just I cannot believe how much this movie gave to us, and that's why it's like nothing but thank yous to the fans.
3 hours of your favorite shit in a Halloween.
You remember that Iron Man movie most of you hated, but Brian, you really liked it, right? There's that kid from it.
Brian, what is your second pick?
My second pick is also not digging back too far. It's I think if we're just looking at sheer aesthetic, maybe the best comic book movie ever made. And that is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Son of a bitch.
I am so upset.
I knew it.
I had to. I can't leave this one on the table. One, because I know people who were directly involved with it. Two, because it was just giddiness for 2 hours for me. And three, I named my kid after Miles Morales. So there's a lot this movie had going for it for me.
The preview of Into the Spider-Verse is the best part of Venom.
Yeah.
Everybody walked out of Venom talking about the Spider-Verse.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. I noticed that Venom isn't on the poll list here for.
I think it is. It's somewhere
I don't think
around
it was,
there.
man. I think Venom was not there at all.
You know what? I had it on there, and I was just like, "What am I doing with my life?"
He took it off so we could have Spider-Verse.
Actually, no, I did. I took it off so we got Spider-Verse.
Because I
Good
was
call.
like, I had animated movies on my original draft, and Daryl was like, well, people aren't going to pick animated movies, and I was like, well, can we have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse?
Spider-Verse.
And here I sit
a
in my
different beast.
Gwen.
Yeah, he's
Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Gwen outfit. Yeah, he beat you to it.
He
man.
did.
Snakish ass Brian. What's your favorite part about this the Spider-Verse?
Honestly, I love the part at the end where they were like, everyone can be Spider-Man, because like that's the sort of
Yes.
thing that I love.
Yes,
About
you
superhero
can
movies
wear
is
the
that,
mask.
Like everyone, can make a difference.
We could all
That
be
to me was-
Batman. That's what I like to think.
Yeah, I mean, if we had enough
I
money,
hope we're not.
We'd all be complete psychopaths.
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
I like my parents.
What do you like about the Spider-Verse there, Jerome?
Oh man, it was the first it felt like a more contemporary Spider-Man. Like they really dug into hip hop culture and everything in there. I just loved Miles Morales. He's just a great character, and he's as much as you love rooting for Peter Parker, you love rooting for Miles Morales that much more.
Yeah.
All right, I can tell that. I think that fucking animation is what makes the
Yeah.
entire movie.
It's gorgeous. The
It's a
Kirby
love-
crackle effect they
it's a
get
love
going
letter
in
to
there.
Spider-Man. It really is. Like,
Yeah, I called it walking out of this movie. Like 18 years from now, animators coming into the field are going to say, this is the reason I chose to go into animation is Into the
definitely.
Spider-Verse.
Definitely.
My senile ass will be like, what is Into the Spider-Verse? All right, then. Mr. Jackson.
On me, number
back
2.
on you.
Second pick. Let's see. What am I going to take off? Yeah, I got to scoop this up now.
I'm feeling
Damn,
it.
that was a,
it's
that
gonna
was a
get-
fiend right
It's
there.
going to get eaten up. I already know.
What is that?
So this is going to be my first MCU pick. Probably one of my favorite of the MCU. Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
I knew it.
Yeah.
It is.
I knew it.
Yes.
Of course.
was
it
that in
is.
everybody's top 10?
Yeah.
Oh,
It
definitely.
was
Yeah.
number
Definitely.
4 for me.
It was number 6.
The only reason it wasn't higher for me, I had it at 9, and it's because I knew it was going to be off the table quick.
I figured that or Dark Knight was going to go off the table quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So
I was hoping you fools would all try to grab the MCU joints quick so I could sneak in and grab the Dark Knight. That didn't happen. Though. That didn't happen.
Oh, man.
Winter Soldier, talk about it, man.
Winter Soldier, man. What can't be said about that? That was the game changer in the MCU.
I think it was.
Yeah, that was for me. That was that turning point in the MCU where everything went from your standard superhero stuff to wow, this is really on another level. The MCU's really gotten it together.
We're
now.
genre hopping,
Yeah,
like legit.
It was
now.
like it was a political thriller that happened to have Captain America in it.
Yeah.
You got Robert Redford out there for it.
Who came from political thrillers himself.
Yeah, Sam Jackson probably doing his best as Nick Fury.
Probably.
That car chase scene was like,
Yeah.
holy shit.
This is a person who does not like Captain America at all. At all.
Yeah.
This is the movie that was like, okay, he's halfway decent.
Yeah.
And I actually became interested in the character a little bit.
Yeah, this was the first time I felt that they really got Black Widow down.
Yeah.
As a character. They she had kind of been meandering about in the other movies and they didn't I don't feel like they really necessarily had their footing on her yet.
She really wasn't a lot more than eye candy in Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
Avengers weedened her up too much.
Yeah.
And then this kind of let her reach her own sort of, or become her own character,
Yeah.
I feel like. She wasn't a female character through the lens of Joss Whedon at that point.
Yeah, she was kind of duplicitous at times. She was
Yeah. And they have some great scenes together.
yes.
I think it was genius pairing the person who is morally great at her cinder with Mr. Righteous at all times.
Yes. Yeah.
The only better thing you get is like a Cap and Loki movie. So that, I think that was a great pairing.
Yeah, I loved the relationship between Cap and Sam. Like they were, they had something to relate to because they were both veterans, and trying to find their place in the world after the war.
Yeah, great. And I was thinking of this, the Caps or the Thor's hammer lifting moment of Winter Soldier for me, because I think every MCU movie has that moment where I'm just like, fucking, they're fucking doing it, was when they are in the bunker at Camp
that
Lehigh,
Zola shit.
and that camera starts to rotate, and I'm like, oh shit, I know what they're about to do. And then all of a sudden Zola's face shows
Yeah.
up on a computer screen,
Yeah.
and I was like, they fucking did Arnim Zola. I cannot believe they did like goofy TV screen Arnim Zola, but they
made it
found
work.
a way.
Yeah.
What do you get down on with the Winter Soldier?
Oh, my favorite part of the Winter Soldier is who the hell is Bucky? Because that's such a
That's
the
great.
directing in that moment is so great. And
Yeah.
then every time that comes on, you just have to.
That was one of those moments where I wish I wasn't into the comics because
Yeah.
that was probably a great twist for somebody outside. Like,
Yeah, my buddy who was in Korea at the time, and they get about a week early, and he knew the twist was coming, and he said the whole theater just fucking flipped when they're like, "Oh shit, it's the guy from the first
Yeah,
movie."
my wife, it blew her mind. But to be fair, every time we go back and watch the movie again, it blows her mind because she's kind of like that guy from Memento.
Guy Pearce is all of a sudden here.
Yeah, like with movies though, where it's like, oh shit, yeah, we saw this one 5 times. Don't you
We've
remember?
also seen Bucky in 5 other movies since.
No, but it was fun to watch her react to that.
Yeah. Anyone who's read the Winter Soldier comic who the hell is Bucky in the comic?
I think
I'm not-
it is.
See, I thought it was.
Like, I think the
keep
line
meaning
might
to
be.
flip through it.
Not that I can remember, but I haven't gone through looking for it.
And that whole arc is like probably 30 or 40 issues long.
Yeah.
From beginning to end.
Yeah, that whole
so,
Brew Baker and Epting, man.
I want to say that line might have been in there, but I can't say for sure.
We'll get back to you. All right, and it comes back to me. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of Marvel business, but not MCU. I'm going to take Logan off the list.
Ooh, that was my next one.
Yes,
Damn.
you are welcome, ma'am. Their first rated R joint. The first rated R foray into Fox's X-Men continuity with a bastardized version of Old Man Logan. It is a sweet, beautiful send-off for the character who didn't need this much shine in the first place. But, like, Wolverine's always been, like, I would say probably the most popular X-Men. So I understand why they focus, but it got to a point of oversaturation. I was just like, man, fuck Wolverine. There's about 3,000 other X-Men out there they could do, but Hugh Jackman he himself is so likable that I was like, all right, if Hugh Jackman wants to do Wolverine movies, he can. I think Hugh Jackman is the reason that the popularity of Wolverine has sustained as long as it has. And if you look at him in the 1999-2000 X-Men, you look at him in like Days of Future Past, that motherfucker committed to that role.
Oh yeah.
He
Yeah,
went from
he did.
a
In
slightly
a number
toned
of
dude
ways,
to just
yeah.
nothing but muscles and abs. His shoulders had abs.
Like he's got muscle injections at this point.
Yeah. Like he went all in, and to see a good send off for Professor
Weapon
X.
Jackman.
Yeah, weapon abs is what he was.
Yeah, that was probably one of the most heartbreaking deaths I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then him just trying to apologize the whole time. It wasn't me, Charles. It wasn't me. It wasn't
That
me.
whole, like, especially when he goes into that whole soliloquy about, like, you know, how life has been the last few years, and that was like his first decent night's sleep and everything, and
Yeah.
and they found, like, especially after seeing them have dinner together and, like, actually looking like a family.
Looking like a family.
again.
Yeah. Things. I like that. It was a little calm beat in the movie. We
Yeah.
definitely needed that.
But that's definitely the scene where it's like the partner cop just bought a yacht and he's a day from retirement.
Yeah, it's
you know,
about to go to
yeah,
shit.
it's like someone's gonna blow this place to smithereens.
And poor Eric LaSalle doesn't
Oh,
make
they
it.
all got smoked.
All got smoked. Do you think Professor X died thinking that was actually him? Well,
Yes.
he didn't. Yeah, you think
Absolutely, because it's a bleak movie. It's very, very bleak, and I don't think they would pull a punch like that.
Yeah, I doubt his last thought was, "This must be a clone of Logan." Yeah, it's fucking heart wrenching, man. Have you guys seen the black and white version of Logan?
I haven't yet. No.
I love it, but every time I watch it, I cry through 3/4 of it. So I just haven't been able to subject myself to it in black and white.
What do you think about Daphne Keene as X? I thought that was perfectly cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
She was solid at basic. She emoted with barely saying anything.
Yeah, and I don't know what that crazy language was she was speaking, but oh man, you still understand her, kind of.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
You're a terrible person, sir.
I think that was Spanish.
Oh, one of the most common languages on the planet,
Yes.
sir.
I don't know.
All right then, Brandy, it's over to you, ma'am.
Okay, well,
Brian shows up in usual form.
Jesus Christ.
I'm going to take another MCU movie. I'm going to go ahead and get Guardians, since that is obviously very popular in Poprika.
Good call.
Yeah, she's playing the game.
These fuckers love their fucking Guardians of the fucking Galaxy.
Good Lord.
Call it. Brandy won.
Yep.
I got Black Panther and Guardians at this point.
My
Oh,
God.
wow. Yeah, we'll talk about this movie.
On top of Guardians being, a fan favorite of from Poprika and me trying to play that game, it's also like a really great movie. I love the soundtrack just in of itself. That's great.
yeah.
It's like fun. It has those emotional movie moments. Yeah, it's just great all the way around. You've also got a really random cast going on. Like,
Yeah,
what
like,
is Michael Rooker doing?
We talked about this a
Oh, you've
lot,
been
but
doing
it's-
Walking Dead?
Yeah.
it looks like a movie that should never ever have worked.
Yeah, it's like that SNL skit about the ghost, like where
Fancy
they made it
ghost,
like
yeah.
next ghost. It's like next Marvel's shopping carts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they just fucking threw a dart
Everybody-
in the Marvel's
Yeah.
in Marvel
What are we making
headquarters,
next?
and they're like,
Doink.
doink. Oh, all right. Well, fuck,
Fuck
it,
us, talking trees.
Yeah, quick, get James Gunn in here.
I
real quick.
remember that year before the trailer came out. That was the one everybody was like, "Oh, this is it. They're gonna fail. They're gonna fall off."
Yeah, I thought that up until I got to see that 15-minute IMAX preview of them breaking out of the kiln.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is gonna be the one that fucking flops. And I walked out like, I can't wait.
I first see that trailer and hear "Hooked on a Feeling." I was like, "Yep, I'm in. I'm in."
If Disney hadn't bought Star Wars and kept pumping out Star Wars movies, Guardians would be Star Wars for this generation.
Yeah.
I believe that's true.
Yeah. It is a wonderful movie about misfits and outcasts finding a family. It's really the whole theme. And then you get the whole Infinity Stone in there as well, which is a nice little MacGuffin. Ronan, kind of a weak villain to me, I think.
Yeah.
I think Ronan had the potential to be a better villain, but Marvel tended to focus more on the heroes.
That's something that I think a lot of the Marvel movies suffered from is like weak villain syndrome, but usually in the name of making a more compelling hero.
Yeah.
Which is something like the older Batman movies
story-
had the reverse problem with, right? Like the villains were always the ones who were built up and made more interesting than
I think
Batman or Bruce
and
Wayne.
I think, in fairness, in Guardians, it was more the Guardian story than it was Ronan's.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
It was more about Quill and and his.
They're not very good people either, though.
Childishness. Yeah. Let's not forget.
just a
They
lot
are
of villain building.
criminals.
Yeah.
Villainy. All right then. Well, good pick, Ms. Bland, and it is back to you again.
Let's see. I think I'm gonna go ahead and get one of the other R-rated movies on this list and pick Deadpool.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Good one, good
that
one.
was
Good
kind
call.
of
Good
far
pull.
down on my list.
But so I really like Deadpool because again, it was one of those things to me that was kind of genre turning because it did show that a rated R superhero movie would work. I also like it also had a lot of like fan service to me, just like random little, tidbits that you would get. I feel like Deadpool 2 had more of this fan service, but I know that that's more of a controversial pick than the first Deadpool.
Yeah. A lot of inside jokes, a lot of Ryan Reynolds goofiness that goes into that. I think he embodies that role. As much as Hugh Jackman is Wolverine, I think Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. You can't see anybody else playing that role.
You could even see that back in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
You could, He was like the good part of that movie, and then they said, "Let's sew his mouth
take
shut."
his mouth away from him.
I think Deadpool as a character in that movie was more true to the character than I thought Fox was capable of.
Yeah, that too.
I will say that.
I think because I'm so willing to bet Fox's hands off on that movie. They're like, you stay away. We know what we're doing.
Like,
let us make our movie.
It's like, get out of your own way, please.
Well, it was like that. What was that? That proof of concept footage that they threw together, like
leaked.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think that went a long way too.
Okay,
But,
that was definitely it because people went nutty over that shit.
the only thing I wish T.J. Miller wasn't in the movie. I just don't like him very much.
Could have done without.
I
T.J.
love the
Miller.
character of Weasel in the comics, but T.J. Miller just does not do it for me.
He will not be joining the MCU.
Maybe
I would
a
be
federal
surprised if
sex
they-
offender registry. I don't know.
Just cast Steve Buscemi to replace T.J. Miller, and there's your
Oh God,
man.
brilliant!
there's
There we
your
go.
Weasel. Well done.
What's up,
man, with
fellow
Deadpool.
teens?
Yeah. was it not another teen movie? Where did that come from?
Oh God, where was it from? I don't remember.
He does say it in something.
Was it? It
There's
wasn't
like a-
Community, was it? I think it was.
No, it wasn't Community because I've seen
He
that,
was
but I
on
never
Community.
watched Community.
I can see it in my head.
Yeah.
But I
Anyways, yeah, Deadpool, good choice. And another iffy villain in Ajax.
yeah.
I just don't like that actor all that much either. All right, it is my turn now. I'm going to go ahead and hop on over to the DCEU
Help yourself.
and scoop up Wonder Woman.
Yep.
Bum, bum, ba, bum, wah.
Music aside, because I fucking hate the theme that they made for her, which is a cacophony of noise to my ears.
Sounds like my 1-year-old went in the kitchen and started banging on shit. Yeah.
I love that theme
I
song.
fucking hate it. I
I get
rewatched
hype every time I hear it.
I rewatched Justice League.
Jermone just working out at the gym. It's like, gotta get huge, gotta stay huge.
Yeah, I rewatched Justice League, and like she pops up on the scene at some point, and that music starts playing in the background. I was just like, here we
You're like,
go.
oh, it's like, ugh.
Yeah, I love the
mixed
fact.
emotions there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the fact that they made you work for it in Wonder Woman because you don't even get it until the No Man's Land scene.
The Wonder Woman thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. No
It's a
wonder
great
I like
scene,
that.
though.
Movie. Yeah, and I think that is one of the maybe top 10 best scenes
Yeah.
in comic book
Oh,
movies.
easy.
Everything from her
Absolutely.
stepping out of the trench to her taking out, like ramming the tank and all that whole going across the field using the shield, and then going up in that bell tower, I think it is, and just wrecking shop all throughout there. It is excellent. And then I think it's more of a downbeat, the scene after that, where she gets a little bit of time with Steve Trevor and they're dancing in the snow. It is a perfect action scene followed by a great romantic beat, I think. And Steve Trevor gets up in that ass. It looks amazing.
He's on that
Up
plane
in-
at the end. He's like, no regrets.
Going out on top.
Yeah, I tapped it.
That
Kaboom.
The third act does not hold up in any way.
It's got a good villain up until the end of the movie.
Yes.
right. If because they tried to misdirect us with
Yeah.
that other guy that we
he
thought
was
was
so
going to
mustache twirly, you knew he wasn't. This was a red herring. Right?
They should have kept him as Ares. I think it would have been better. And instead, we get weak chin David Thewlis coming in there.
And his mustache.
And his mustache. Weak chin, droopy mustache David Thewlis comes in. What are your thoughts on Wonder Woman?
I really liked Wonder Woman. I thought it was great when I saw it, but then I saw Captain Marvel, and I was like, do I just love Wonder Woman so much because it was the first woman-led superhero movie?
I don't know.
So you prefer Captain Marvel or Wonder Woman?
I like Captain Marvel better than Wonder Woman.
Oh,
of the two
I
movies.
think I'm one of the few that adores Wonder Woman. I think Captain Marvel is okay.
I think Wonder Woman is also boosted by the general quality of
Yeah.
DCEU movies.
yeah, that is also
There
a
were so many
factor.
turds out there that like.
I think
we get a
because
good
we're
one.
looking at Captain Marvel through the MCU lens, like 20 movies in, and we're
Yeah.
like, well, that was fine.
Yeah.
We're looking at Wonder Woman. It's like,
Right.
oh, thank God.
They finally gave us one.
Right.
It's like Janine and Ghostbusters. We got one.
So I think, to be fair, I think there's a little bit of that in there too. But I think I'm kind of in Team Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
As far as the Captain Marvel Wonder Woman debate, but I enjoyed them both.
Where would you be at the Jermone and the Captain Marvel Wonder Woman debate?
He's like, I'd take them both.
Yeah.
My Tuesday's free.
I like, don't get me wrong, I like Captain Marvel. I just felt like it was, it was kind of one of those movies that they just needed to get to a certain place by Endgame. And I mean, it was a fun romp, but I really wish they had, had they said it in contemporary times, maybe she could have had her own thing going on. But it felt rushed to where they were like, we need to get her here by this point, and
Okay.
so we can get her ready for Endgame.
All right.
But
then.
Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah.
So
that's
great in
also-
that movie.
yes.
That's also been. All right, then. Wonder Woman is off the board. And Mr. Jackson, it is on you.
On me. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and stay in the MCU here. Get my second MCU pick on here.
Alrighty.
The Avengers. The
Marvel's
original-
The Avengers.
Yes. It was the movie we never thought would work. And
Until the Talking Tree movie.
yes.
The first movie we never thought would work.
Coming in at the end of Iron Man and everything, when they was like, let me talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. He was like, oh man, I can't wait. But is this gonna work? Nobody's ever done this before. It's like, we've never had these many different superhero franchises come together, in one place and without it being just an abject mess.
And people had tried it before, but it was
Yes.
squirrely as shit.
Yeah.
It was like, this isn't good. And we didn't have any idea back then who would be playing these characters,
Right.
what sort of talent they were going to draw to them. And I mean, it was such an unknown quantity,
Yeah.
but then you get the movie. And
It was a
it's like,
perfect
this is-
movie. It was one of those few perfect movies that's out there.
Yeah, it is the only movie I think I can say that I hit the end credits and immediately rewound that shit right back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So many iconic shots. Of course, the
Great
little
shots.
circle shot
The
with the
pan
six
shot.
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, when I think about the Avengers, that is what I
Yeah.
think about is
the
that
long
pan around.
Yeah, the long take where you see them kind of working together, fighting the Atari. Yes.
I messed my pants when I saw that. in theaters.
Yeah. So good.
What do you think about the Avengers? What does that rank in your Marvel pantheon?
I mean, it ranks up there pretty high. One thing that I will say that Avengers did for me was kind of started making me like Loki a little bit. We talked about this during the All MCU thing, but I
Yeah.
don't like that character from the comics. And so the movie kind of started slowly bringing me around to him, and every time I watch it, I like him a little bit more and hate myself a little bit more for it. But I will say that's the
Loki
thing
would be
that-
proud of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
he
just
would
give
be.
in. Just give in. He's doing his job well. All right. So, are you excited for this Loki show that we have coming up?
I'm gonna watch it. We'll see.
Oh
Everyone
my
keeps
God,
trying
that's
to
the
tell
most
me.
tepid response I've
Everyone,
heard.
see, here's the thing. Everyone wants me to cosplay Loki. Like, all of my cosplay friends are like, cosplay Loki. And I'm thinking about it, even though I don't like the character, because everyone's like, you'd make a great Loki because of my personality.
Yeah,
So I
because
feel
you're
like I have to
evil and
watch them.
duplicitous.
Yeah.
Prone to vanishing through portals with squares.
Glowing blue squares. Have you ever cosplayed as somebody you just like, I don't fucking care about this character? Or do you try to go for characters you identify with?
I try to go for characters that I identify with.
Yeah,
But
you
as
put
I've-
more love into it.
Yeah, and then as I've started like doing more group stuff, I've started slowly doing more of those things that like other people want me to do. Because my friends are doing Handmaid's Tale costumes with me for Dragon Con. They've not
Oof.
watched the show.
Bring the
so
mood
they're just
down.
like,
Hey,
yeah,
yeah,
let's
it-
go from Loki to like.
Oh my God, I watched the finale last night, guys.
Oh, season 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all said and done?
Yep.
I think
So
it's
now
done.
Now I can start watching.
If that wasn't the finale, I don't effing know what next week's episode is.
Yeah, I watched the first episode and I was like, I'm just going to wait till this whole season is done.
They had some humdingers
Yeah.
in there.
Well, it looks like I know what my Monday's going to be all damn day. Thank you,
Depressing.
sir. Yeah, it's depressing. Laying on the couch like, what a beautiful ass depressing show. God, that's the best looking
is.
show on television. Anyways, what are we talking about now?
Avengers.
Avengers. Sorry about that.
And that was
God.
the traditional Poprika tangent.
Welcome back.
Poprika brought to you by Depressed. A good call, sir. Good call. Mr. Martin, we move on to you.
All right.
Oh boy.
That was a Pete Lentz for you. I am going to go with another Avenger-y movie. That wasn't an Avengers movie, but I think probably the most popular installment of this trilogy, and that's Captain America: Civil War.
Oh,
you
yeah.
bastard.
I knew it.
I'll be honest. I wasn't like overjoyed when I heard that the third Captain America movie was going to be Civil War.
Really?
And the reason for that is I felt like Captain America is my guy.
Yeah.
And it's, to me, it was at that point, given First Avenger and Winter Soldier, to me, the most consistent trilogy that we were lining up in the MCU.
Right.
And I really wanted us to just follow Cap's through line. And I thought, when they said Civil War, I'm like, this is going to be an overstuffed mess. How are we working Bucky into this? And then they kept mentioning, hey, Ant-Man's going to be in here. Hey, we cast the new Spider-Man and we're cramming him into this. Oh, there's Black Panther and his dad. We're going to get the whole Black Panther origin story in Civil War. And I'm like, guys, come on. But it still never stops being about Bucky and Cap.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I can't believe they managed to pull off a satisfying conclusion to that series of movies while also propelling the MCU forward in such a crazy way.
Let me ask you, John. Let me ask you. Your best friend is wanted by the world.
Yes.
Do you fight for him, or do you just say he's right over there in apartment 2A?
Now,
I don't know this guy.
Are we assuming I'm also a superhero?
You are Captain North Carolina.
Yes.
In this circumstance, what does Captain North Carolina do?
Oh, geez.
He says, who's Bucky?
Who the hell is Bucky?
I don't know nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. Like me being me, I would probably like, I want to get the authorities involved in this one.
Jermone's like, he's right over there, officer. He's hiding behind that tree.
Let's try to talk this out. It's like,
in other news, Bucky Barnes was killed yesterday.
Oh, shit, that's real depressing.
Jermone's eating a snack. Oh, they killed him, I guess. All right.
damn shame what they did to that.
They did that, dog.
I have the nerve to be out there with justice for Bucky signs.
I think, that movie has so many spinning plates. So many balls in the air that's being juggled, which it only made sense that they got to do Infinity War and Endgame because they shown that they can do ensemble cast quite well.
Yeah.
So many characters, like Brian said, but everybody gets a little bit of time to shine.
Yeah.
Even Martin Freeman gets a couple seconds to shine in the little bit of time that he's got there. Black Panther gets a little bit of time. Bucky gets his cool shit.
A pretty compelling villain for an MCU movie, I think, who doesn't really get lost in the shuffle. Sure, his plan is Rube Goldberg-like, but I
mean, you don't see him for like 30 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
But still, he's effective. His plan works. He's the first villain to succeed.
He literally said at the end, like when Martin Freeman asked him or whatever, how did it look like to see your plan fail or whatever? It's like, did it?
Yeah, and all. Yeah. Cut to Iron Man, Captain America tearing each other apart.
Yeah.
Iron Man won that fight. All right, then, Brian, we're back to you.
I banked on at least one of those guys in my top 10 still being available at this point. But, I got 2 MCU movies so far. I'm going to go with Thor Ragnarok.
You son of a bitch! My number 10.
Damn it.
My number 10.
That was number 9.
That was 10.
Yeah, that was in my top.
And I haven't even seen it. But again, that's me playing the game.
Boy, are you missing out. So Thor, like I said a second ago, Captain America, best trilogy. Thor could never make it work. From the beginning installment, it's like, well, this was mediocre. And the second one, it's like, this is getting worse. And then the third one comes around and it's like, that should be the first one and we should get more. And thank God we're actually getting more. Because he never got a fair shake in his solo movies. And it took him so long to figure out how to make this work. And Ragnarok, good God, so much going on in that movie.
I don't think he would have gotten. I don't think he would have gotten that shine that he did in Infinity War without Ragnarok.
Let's see. Ragnarok is 2017,
it was
2016.
It was right before Infinity War.
He wouldn't have gotten Endgame shine. I don't think because Yeah, they were already.
Well, you get those.
They're already
That's what
script writing for.
That's where
Infinity
you
War.
get that moment in Infinity War where you finally
you
realize
realize,
what Thor's
yeah.
been through.
And I don't think in
realize what
Endgame,
an actor
that's the
Hemsworth
thing.
is.
Yeah. I don't think you earn Bro Thor without the tone of Ragnarok.
Yeah,
It is such a jarring shift from it's a fun, light, poppy, crazy movie, and then all of a sudden, no,
Yeah.
Thor's not having fun at all.
Yeah. So highlights for me of Ragnarok: Jeff Goldblum, so great
Just-
as
just-
the Grandmaster.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't just have him as Jeff Goldblum.
They did basically. Doesn't he sit down and play a piano at one point?
He
I don't
does.
know. You know, it's like it's
He does dance a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, or he's like vibing with some music that's playing. The
Valkyrie,
Willy Wonka,
Tessa Thompson, so great.
what
The
was
Willy Wonka
song?
thing.
Pure Imagination.
Yeah.
that's what's playing. Yeah, crazy, and you get Ruffalo.
Yeah, Ruffalo back as the Hulk.
Yeah,
I wish. My one wish with that movie was that had not been spoiled in the trailer.
yeah.
Yeah.
That
Like,
would've
and
been
I
awesome.
think if it was maybe 2 years later, they wouldn't have done that.
yeah,
But-
they didn't have
because
quite
they
control
they
of the
held
game.
so much close to the chest with Endgame and Infinity War, and I really wish they had held back on that Hulk reveal.
Yeah.
And we had just been in the theater, and all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, what is with this crazy fucking movie?
Now, why haven't you seen Ragnarok?
Good question.
Don't like Loki. We just went over
yeah.
this, guys.
You realize it's not a Loki movie, right?
I don't. I know, but I don't like Loki. And if I watch Ragnarok, I'm gonna like him even more. And everyone's like bringing me to watch Ragnarok, so I'm resisting. I am gonna
Okay,
watch
yeah,
Love
you
and
will.
Thunder because I want to see Dr. Jane Foster Thor.
Now, what if Loki's in Love and Thunder?
Then I'll just have to get over
I'll
it. I
have to
guess.
excuse myself and go to the bathroom.
Text movie's not on screen.
Also, so great things in Ragnarok. Doctor Strange cameos.
Yeah.
That's
And that was
right,
one of the
I
very
forget about
first
that.
appearances of him within the context of the MCU.
The larger MCU, yeah.
And Korg. I mean, we cannot
Korg and
forget
Meek,
Korg.
yeah.
We
Korg
can't-
and Meek, yeah, those two.
Korg
go
and Meek
hand
were
in hand.
so great.
Piss
And
off, Ghost.
It's my favorite line.
it's so funny because they are not at all like their Marvel Universe counterparts.
No.
Not at all.
No.
Nobody cares. Like it's because first of all, nobody really cares about those characters. But second of all, it's like when you can take something and just go completely off the grid with it and turn it into something that good.
Yeah, you're doing all right for yourself.
Yeah.
They did. Taika did say that's going to be a larger Korg presence in Thor 2.
Oh,
or in
boy.
Thor 11.
It's
you
Thor
were-
No, it's Thor 2. It's Thor 2.
guys. Love and Thunder. Love and Thunder. All right, excellent, Mr. Jackson. It is
Oh,
back
it's on me.
Back on you, sir.
Man, that was
we got some strong.
that was a
lists.
run, man. That was a run.
That
We
was a
went through
nice
some,
run.
yeah, we ate some
What
stuff
you-
up
what you
there.
gonna do?
Oh man, do I stay in MCU? Do I move out of here? I think
you
I need to.
have 2 MCUs under your belt.
Yes,
so
I
far.
do.
Brian has 3. I have 1. And
Really?
Brandy has 2. Yeah.
Okay, let me go ahead and scoop up OG Iron Man.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Good.
Picking the Iron Man 1.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, it's the one that started it all. You know, it was they took so many chances with that movie. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. at the time was a risk as an actor. Iron Man was at best a C-list character at the time.
Nobody knew who he
Nobody
was.
cared. Like
Nobody cares.
they were trying to start a studio without Spider-Man, the X-Men, Fantastic Four. You know, some of the bigger staples of the of Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
And they nailed it. Like from beginning to end, they nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, you could bring in Jeff Bridges as a villain.
Yeah.
I thought he did a great job as Obadiah Stane. He wears some great suits.
The
in that
chemistry,
movie.
the chemistry between what was it Robert Downey Jr. and Gwyneth Paltrow was just great.
Yeah,
you could just feel that tension, that romantic tension that was there.
Yeah, and the improv in half that damn movie. Oh,
Yeah,
holy
yeah.
shit.
You could
Nutty.
tell because some of that banter. You can tell they were like completely improvising a lot of it.
Yeah.
I think they went a little bit too into that for Iron Man 2, but I think
Yeah.
Iron Man 1, and this is true of most, first installments and sequels,
Yeah.
is that everything was dialed back and restrained just enough in that
Right.
first one to make everything work.
Yeah, yeah. Did you see Iron Man when it first came out? Or
Oh,
were
I
you-
did.
Oh,
I
you
went
did?
opening weekend to go see it too with my
Nice.
friends, and they were all like, "What is this?" Before we went, because I was the only one that knew what Iron Man,
Yeah.
like who Iron Man was.
Like
so.
poor Terrence Howard, man.
Oh, poor one.
That man
out for
got
your
screwed
boy.
out of that Marvel money, man.
Every time they pan to that War Machine outfit and he looks over and is
Next time.
I laugh. I'm like,
Wrong.
wrong, Howard.
Oh, you're all terrible people.
Oh, my God.
You think he just gets drunk and puts that scene on?
We were just talking about how much we love Hustle and Flow.
It's like it could have been me. It could have been me.
Don Cheadle's like coming on the come up. Yeah, I think Iron Man is a great movie.
Oh, yes.
Great movie.
Yes.
All right. It is back around to yours truly. I am still holding off on my MCU love. I'm going to take another DC joint. I'm going to go Batman Begins.
Ooh,
That's an interesting
nice,
pick.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm trying to diversify my bonds.
That one's really far down on mine, actually.
It is, what the fuck is it? Number 11 on my list. I'm
31 for me.
31.
Wow.
Damn. Okay. I'm trying to get me some Batman love from the voters. Yeah, and it is what started the arguably best superhero trilogy. I mean, obviously the Cap trilogy, the Avengers. But yeah, I mean, Nolan, one of the best living filmmaking directors right now, bought Batman from the...
Was it
Joel Schumacher from the
yes.
Schumacher days of Batman and Robin, where Batman was just a clown.
The
on
Batman
screen.
nipples? The Bat nipples?
Bat nipples and whatever
Bat
Lisa
credit card.
Silverstone was doing.
The Bat ice skates.
The Ice Age.
You killed the dinosaurs.
Yeah, that was absolutely
You're not
ridiculous.
sending me to the cooler.
And he
were they
brought it back to what it should be. Yeah. Batman being gritty, being grimy, being an object of
gravitas.
fear. That's what the Bat is.
I really liked how it managed to make everything about Batman make sense in the real world. Like all
Yeah.
his gadgets and the things that he uses. Like, and you could see like through that trial and error with him and Lucius Fox. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, I need something for case spelunking and this and that or whatever. It's like, what do you got for me? It's
Yeah. Who was the first? The Scarecrow. I've been wanting Scarecrow live action
Yes.
forever, and boy, did they deliver with my boy.
I
Cillian
love the
Murphy.
way that with the first time when they're in Arkham and he's about to poison the water supply, which is crazy because that's like the plot of every Batman villain. You know? But they hear that clanging and they're like, he's here. Who? The Batman. Man. It's like you can hear the hyphen. Yeah. I was like that's so that delivery just I loved it. But the crazy thing to me is like so I was watching this movie. I was working at a theater at the time. My buddy and I were screening it the day before it opened. And we're sitting in the theater, just the two of us watching this movie. And as soon as that scene in Wayne Manor comes and we hear Liam Neeson's voice say, "But is Ra's al Ghul immortal?" We both looked at each other. How did we not fucking call this? It's like, how did we not see this coming? He looks just like him.
Well, I guess they kind of dress up Ken Watanabe to look like Ra's.
That's the whole thing. I was like, this. How did we fall for this? How did us fall for this?
How do you pay Ken Watanabe to be a decoy?
Hey, kid, what are you doing on Tuesday? Nothing. You want to come out in for 15 minutes? Yeah, why not?
Hey, sure, why not?
Let them fight.
We let them fight. We got some Popeyes is doing craft services. I'll be there.
But man, that reveal just tickled me to no end. And the fact that this was a movie where they crammed in several villains, at least 4 Bat villains that I can fit. Ra's al Ghul, Carmine Falcone, the Scarecrow, and Mr. Zsasz.
Yes.
All in one movie, and
Yes.
it doesn't feel overstuffed. And it doesn't feel like when Mr. Zsasz shows up, he doesn't feel like a character the audience is supposed to know already.
Right.
But if you're a Batman fan, you know who this guy is. And if you are this Batman fan, he's a character you've wanted to see in a movie since the mid-90s.
There you go.
So
There you
that
go.
movie did a lot for me.
Yeah, Batman Begins. A lot of traces of some Long Halloween in there. Personally, my favorite Batman story of all time. A lot of Frank Miller Batman Year One in there as well. You a Batman fan, Brandy?
I'm a little bit of a Batman fan. I wasn't particularly a fan of Batman Begins. I just felt like it was slow to me. Like it takes a long time to get started.
It does.
And I fall asleep so many times when I try to watch it. I feel like now I need to go back and give it another try because I love Scarecrow.
Stop watching movies at 1 a.m.
That's what time I get off. I don't know what you expect me to do.
I also think it's probably Nolan's most pedestrian movie. Like I think it's the most paint by numbers movie, down to the fact that it's got the "I gotta get me one of these" lines. You know, when Gordon's driving the
Tumbler.
the tumbler, and it's just like another one of those. It feels like a typical summer blockbuster
He
in
should
a
have
way
said,
that
"Where
Nolan
does he get
movies
these
don't.
wonderful toys?" When he was in there.
That would have been nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Batman Begins is the dopeness. You got something out there?
Oh no.
All right. No,
I got nothing to say. Forget it.
it's Batman. We all know what it is. All right,
on.
Brandy, it's
Never
on you,
mind.
Miss Blanton.
Well, we're already talking about Batman, and the other 2 Nolan movies are gone, so I'm going to take The Dark Knight Rises.
All right.
That's my favorite of the 3. I know that The Dark Knight is usually everyone's favorite, but I really like the portrayal of Bane in that one.
Okay.
And I also love how at the end he somehow manages to retire. Most superheroes don't manage to retire, but he gets to retire and keep his sort of
Sanity?
sanity. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a great ending to the trilogy. I think it's, we've talked about it being the best, arguably the best trilogy. I think it is, but I think that's also the best conclusion.
I think it is too, and I think that it gets a lot of heat because people saw it, and it does have a definitive ending, and people aren't comfortable with endings. They're like, Batman would never retire. It's like, well, the Batman in this one did, and the idea, I think Batman, The Dark Knight Rises, ends with the same general idea that Into the Spider-Verse ends.
Yeah.
It's not the person, it's the symbol.
Yeah.
You know, and at the
literally
end of the
said that
movie,
Batman
Robin's
Begins.
ready to take on that mantle, and I think that last shot of the movie where he just gradually elevates up into the Batcave, and then it cuts to black, it's like, that was perfect.
Yeah.
That was a perfect ending to me.
Yeah.
I mean, people saying that Batman doesn't retire. I mean, The Dark Knight Returns is one of the most popular Batman, and it starts with him retiring.
Right.
So we've seen Batman retire before.
And he's hitting Anne Hathaway now, so yeah, he retired. I get it.
I think it's the bottom of the trilogy for me because I think Nolan tried to go a little too epic with it, with like the giant like Bane's goons versus apparently Gotham has 1 million cops who are never around when you fucking need them to be.
Well, that's
Except when
it's
you
Gotham
go
City.
to the sewers.
Except when you go to the
Send
sewers.
everyone down.
Send everyone to the sewers.
This has been a
Mr.
problem.
Mayor, are you sure about this? I fucking said it.
This has been a problem for
I'm going to
Gotham
football
City since the
games.
60s.
What'd you say, Brian?
It's been a problem for Gotham City since the 1960s. The police force is not very good at their job.
Good at all.
They need some remedial training.
How are you at being a cop? Oh no, I've never done it before. Hired.
It's like Bart Simpson and Chief Wiggum. Bart's like, I'd hate to tell the #1 cop in town how to do his job, and Wiggum's like, no, don't worry about it. It's the only way I'll learn. That's the relationship between Batman and the Gotham City Police Department.
Pretty much. I'm not a huge Anne Hathaway fan either. So like Anne Hathaway is Catwoman, and I was like, this movie's already -2 points for me.
I really respected her performance in this movie, especially like when you see that scene where she's first trying to make that deal, and she's coming. I guess shit goes sideways, and she's coming out, and she starts like screaming like a panic victim off out of nowhere. And just,
Which I like how the cops would no one's like check on this
Yeah.
woman. No, they all run right by her. Number 29 on my
Well,
list.
we just switched for
Yeah, that and,
first
and
and
Batman
last,
Begins.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dark Knight
All right.
Rises was 29 on your list?
Yep.
29 on my list.
No, good mind, sir. And we are halfway. Nope, not quite halfway through. It is on you again, Brandy.
let's see. Well, I'm gonna grab another non-MCU movie, and I'm gonna take Hellboy.
Oh, very well done. Where are you, Hellboy? 14 on my list.
28 on my list.
All right then, Guillermo del Toro. What you got for it?
Well, I really like it. I think it holds up really well to be an older movie and to not be an MCU.
It definitely holds up better after this year. I
oh
think.
yeah, God, yes.
I haven't even seen the new one yet
I
because
saw
everyone
it.
was like,
Nope.
"It's
Don't
not
do it.
good.
Nope.
Don't watch it." So I
Don't do
haven't.
it.
I haven't either. Yeah. Yeah, that movie is
You
great.
get a lot of lore packed in there,
Yeah.
and you don't feel like you're drowning in it. So you can either,
Yeah, looking back,
listen or just like,
there was a lot of exposition in there, but yeah, it really felt like because you needed to be immersed in that world.
And Perlman sells that role
Yeah.
so well. Like, I mean, he's the right level of just average Joe, exasperated. Like, he looks like this superhuman figure, and he behaves like a superhuman, but he still has that sort of Indiana Jones quality of being like a perpetual fish out of water.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole thing that I love in my heroes. So he's a very relatable hero, despite the fact that he's an actual demon from hell.
yeah,
I like the relationship with him and Selma Blair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Liz. It was the necessary B plot and to be romantic, but this is one I really enjoyed, and she also does pull her own weight as well. Plus, you're getting David Hyde Pierce voice in
Voice
Abe
Abe
Sapien.
Sapien, yeah.
Doug
And
Jones.
Doug Jones was
Doug
the
Jones
body
doing
work.
the body work. Yeah.
John Hurt.
Yeah, John Hurt in there doing much better than who's it? Ian McShane takes over that role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was the
thank you.
clockwork dude? Klaus?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in Hellboy too, right?
No, it's,
No, I was
clock-
the villain that was like clockwork.
the little wind-up dude.
Yeah, what is his name?
I have no idea. I don't know.
I don't remember.
I haven't seen Hellboy in
It's been a
years.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
It's one of the
listeners.
ones I
Anyway,
watched for this.
very visually cool Nazi
Yeah.
villain
Yeah.
in that movie.
Yeah, I think that's what. Isn't Rasputin?
And it has
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
has Nazis and Rasputin without feeling like, oh, this is the same Nazis and Indiana Jones' fault. They're kind of doing their own thing, even though it's the same.
Even though they're same
creators of the
occult
law.
Nazis.
Yeah.
Well done, now. Well done, Hellboy. And you were halfway through your list. I'm gonna slide back over to the MCU finally and take Spider-Man: Homecoming off the
Oh,
list.
I knew it was going.
Good call.
I knew it was going.
Yeah.
Delightful movie.
Yes.
Isn't it? Is the first Sony movie with MCU's meddling, and it shows.
Yes.
We got ourselves after the, however you want to call the MCU Spider-Mans, or the Sony Spider-Mans, the Amazing Spider-Mans. Those are whatever they are, but this was a breath of fresh air for the character of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I think they finally casted not a dude who's like 45 years old in Tobey Maguire. and I like Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker, but I didn't like what they did with his Peter Parker. This is the Peter Parker they fucking nailed because of our Lord and Savior Kevin Feige. And he's a high schooler with high school problems. He just wants to go to the fucking the homecoming dance. Michael Keaton as the Vulture.
Oh,
is
man.
So good.
one of the best MCU villains.
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see you be a villain.
And he was trying to provide for his family.
Yeah.
That's all he wanted to do. And then fucking Stark comes in there and his damage control crew.
I think at some
He's like, I will
point,
kill you and everyone you love.
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
mean,
yo,
really,
Papa
it's-
Keaton, no.
at some point, we should do just a top 5 moments from the MCU or scenes from the MCU
Yeah.
because I mean that scene with Peter, the drive to
Yeah.
the
At
prom
the stoplight.
is
Yeah.
Exactly,
one
yeah.
of the 5 best scenes in any of the MCU.
I was not expecting that moment when he goes and opens that door and Michael Keaton is standing right there.
Yeah.
Yo,
Like,
it got a
jaw-
gas.
yeah,
gas
jaw
Yeah.
drop. It's like,
that
whoa.
was the hammer moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so wonderful and unexpected, and it is we should have seen this coming because they said for a long time that this is going to play like a John Hughes movie
Yep.
with superheroes. And that's the
literally-
trope, right? You go to the girl's house and her dad is super intimidating.
Yeah.
Who's the most intimidating dad that Pete could meet in this movie? His arch nemesis.
His arch nemesis, yeah.
It's so perfect. It's such a wonderful twist
It is so-
on
it's-
this just trope.
It's so Spider-Man too, because like a lot,
is.
like
The
it's
Parker
like his
luck.
personal and superhero lives just melding together.
And it changes the whole tone of the rest of it. You're just
Yeah.
like, no, it's a fun, happy Spider-Man movie. And as soon as that door opens, you're like, oh. shit just got real. Where does Keaton's Vulture rank for you as far as MCU villains?
Oh, pretty high.
Yeah.
I would say probably top 3, if not. I'm honestly
So it's
Thanos.
Loki
So probably,
and then Thanos.
probably Thanos and then Vulture.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then that's fair. That's
You know,
fair.
I think that was at that point where you saw that shift where Marvel, basically solved their villain problem.
Yeah.
Like they had much more compelling villains at that point.
I
Yeah,
think
it could
think
be-
Loki was kind of the first step in solving that villain problem
Yeah.
because I think they accidentally made Loki work. I don't think it was
Yeah,
deliberate.
That was not by design.
and then they were like, well, what made him so appealing?
Tom
Yeah, Tom Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston
Hiddleston
made
is
him
what
so
made him
appealing.
I love
Really.
Tom Hiddleston. That's another thing Loki's got going for him.
Yeah.
But it's like there's a level on which the audience connects with Loki,
Right.
That they don't connect with like
Obadiah
Obadiah Stane, right?
yeah.
Nobody
We're
owns
not
a
trying to
suit
take
like
over
that.
corporation. No way to, but it's such a good suit.
Right. Yeah.
Also,
I mean, I thought the Red Skull was a great villain in the first Avenger, but it's again, I love Cap and I love the Red Skull and I love how amplified and just evil he was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. They finally figured out how to make it work around the time that Homecoming came out, and the
I can dig
Vulture
that.
is
Homecoming
just
is what, 2017?
Yes.
So right before that, you get what, Caecilius and Doctor Strange?
nope.
Caecilius,
Yeah.
Zemo.
And then before Zemo, so Zemo, I think was
Zemo was a
they were
good
getting
step.
close to the
Yeah,
formula,
yeah.
and then I think with
I think
Vulture
Vulture
nailed
on,
it.
they kind of hit their stride there.
Yeah,
'cause
they've
you
been
got
doing pretty
Hela
good
and,
since
yeah.
then. I think Hela was a great
Killmonger
villain.
and-
Yeah.
We
All
also
right.
got Happy back in that movie, which I love because I
Yeah.
love that character.
That's true.
Yeah, I love me some Goofy Favreau.
He's really
Yeah.
grown on me, especially in Endgame and Far From Home. He's
Yeah,
like,
end game, man. Fucking
Yeah,
God,
that-
fucking that. I'll get y'all the cheeseburgers. you
yeah,
want.
I broke.
I guess he deserves to get that scene because I mean he's one of the guys that jump started this whole thing, and he
Yeah.
gets that real tear.
That's what they said in the commentary. I watched the commentary for Endgame, and they were like, "We had to show respect to Favreau, who directed the first of this entire thing."
Pretty cool.
Mr. Jackson is
All
on
right,
you.
my pick. I think I'm going to venture out of the MCU for a minute here, and I'm going to go with Batman 1989.
You son of a bitch! Are you looking at my paper? All right then.
Yes,
Number
yes,
17
yes.
on my list.
That was one of those movies where like you knew where you were that moment when you first saw.
Yes.
Yes.
It was like that and the Challenger explosion in the 1980s.
I'm showing my age because I don't remember the first time I saw this movie.
I also
but
don't
I
remember the
grew
first
up
time.
seeing it. So
Yes.
I
yes.
definitely
Oh,
like.
man.
There's so much. The
phenomena was
The
just-
world
yes.
was such a cool place that summer. Like I had the friggin'
It was cool to
Chuck
wear-
Taylors with the
Yeah.
Joker all over.
It
'em.
was cool to wear Batman
Nice.
T-shirts then. It's like,
Man, yeah, it was like, what happened? Suddenly.
Yeah, because before that, all the Batman I knew was Batman '66, and of course it was like super
Goofy
goofy
ass,
and
yeah.
campy and everything. But yeah, to see Tim Burton's like vision for this, like first off, Tim Burton, like on paper, he should have had no business doing Batman.
He should have no
Coming off
business with a
of-
career.
He should have. I mean, he should have
off of-
directed.
yeah.
There are two Tim Burton movies that I feel like Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Big Fish, and I'm like, those are my two. But like, man, I just
Like
Tim Burton's crazy.
Yeah,
well,
but I think that's why Batman worked because
because
it really
Batman is essentially he's nuts.
Yeah.
because it took Batman from Adam West to this super dark
Yeah.
hero that we got in the Nolan trilogy.
Yeah.
He made a Prince soundtrack work on there.
That's the craziest thing
That's
about the
ridiculous.
movie.
Everything about this movie should not have worked.
This
Like,
wacky Prince soundtrack.
It's like what?
And if you listen to that soundtrack, it's a great album.
Yeah.
But like you
Oh,
listen to
it's
that
the
thing and
purple
you're like,
one. See, like,
what the
Batman?
fuck does this have to do with Batman?
Now, granted, that whole Party Man scene with the Joker
Oh,
museum, it worked so well.
That is the
so
song right
well.
there. Yeah.
Great.
Who you? Kim Basinger as
Basinger.
Vicky
Yeah.
Vale in that.
Hell
joint?
yeah.
Billy D. Williams
Yeah.
as Harvey Dent. I really wish they would have kept on with him.
Yeah.
But the Lego movie finally gave us Harvey
Yes.
Dent as Two-Face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What else is in this?
Was it
I mean,
Jack
obviously
Palance?
Jack
Jack
Palance.
Of course,
yeah.
Nicholson.
Life won't be worth spit.
Curly popping up in a Batman movie for some reason. And the Legend of Curly's Gold.
And the guy who played Jack Porkins, also in Batman.
It's Harvey
89.
Bullock, right?
No, well, he plays Lieutenant Eckhart, who is the Harvey Bullock
Who's
analog
Harvey Bullock,
kind of.
yeah.
But yeah, Eckhart was Jack Porkins from Star Wars: A New Hope.
That's right. That's right.
Every element of that movie, like, there were elements that should not have worked that just totally nailed it. Like, even Bob the Goon was the man. Like,
I love Bob, man.
Yes.
Why did he have to go?
yes.
Bob Gunn.
Yeah. And Bob was always Johnny on the spot with this
Yeah,
stuff.
I'll tell you, I think the best thing about that movie, though, aside from Nicholson, is the score. I think
Elfman.
that
Elfman,
delivered.
yes.
I think since then, I don't know that we've gotten a superhero orchestral theme that is as memorable since Batman '89.
Not really.
Correct.
Not really.
I was
No.
rewatching Justice League the other day, and it finally heard it.
You hear the notes,
just,
yeah,
It's just
yeah.
barely in there. I think
You
they
catch
do,
a couple-
they do a
they
little
do a
bit of
Superman
Superman
note, too.
Yeah. I finally caught it. I was like, oh, there it is. There's the Elfman score. So shout out to Hans Zimmer or Junkie XL, whichever one did that for throwing that in. All right then, Mr. Martin, your fifth pick to end the first half.
All
of
right,
this.
I am going to also leave the MCU.
I don't like it.
Maybe forever. I was nervous there a second ago because I thought somebody was going to pick this one. And I believe it's the superior of the two films in this series.
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Hellboy 2, The Golden Army.
Oh, that's
yeah,
number
of-
40 on my list.
Of the two, I would have considered that one because I don't know. I like that one better than the first.
The creature effects,
Yeah,
the visually, it was kind of like... So I've talked a couple times so far about how the sequel always tends to take what worked in the first movie and amplify it,
up,
and
yeah.
sometimes it goes a little bit out of control or it feels a little bit too polished and less organic. But I think what happened between Hellboy and Hellboy 2 is Del Toro was allowed to fully Del Toro.
Yeah.
And-
it looked a lot more like a Del Toro movie.
And it's
than-
it's a post Pan's Labyrinth movie, and I
it
think
is.
you can really tell.
Yeah.
It is to me one of Del Toro's maybe top 3 movies, and as a Hellboy movie, it doesn't get any better than that for me. I just absolutely love it.
When I think Hellboy, I think of the scene from Hellboy 2 where they kill that giant creature and then it blooms.
Oh,
Yes.
That is a beautiful ass
Yeah.
scene, man.
Yeah.
Whatever score that was underneath that also works.
So
what do you think
incredible.
about Hellboy?
I will say I was a little bit conflicted between going 1 and 2. They're right next to each other
Yeah.
on my list.
Yeah. I mean, the Hellboy one is awesome.
They're both so solid that I
But
was like,
Hellboy 2 is that the one where Hellboy and Abe get drunk and
Yeah.
sing
Yeah.
at the- that's another scene I really love.
Yeah, that is a great. I watched Hellboy 2 like maybe like a year ago, and I was like, I've forgotten everything about that movie, and I forgot about that scene.
And it's
I
one of
love
the
that
few
scene.
Seth MacFarlane performances that I actually enjoy. It's in that movie.
Yeah.
He's the one who plays the gaseous.
Was it Johann Strauss? Or
Johann.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, damn, good pull. That's why you're the test. You're like, yeah, that's it. Brian, you better phone up.
Gas man. Final answer.
All right, then. And with that being said, we're going to take ourselves a quick break. We're halfway through this bit of business, and we'll be right back to finish out the superhero movie draft.
I'm Charles Xavier. Would you like some breakfast?
Where am I?
Westchester, New York. You were attacked. My people brought you here for medical attention.
I don't need medical attention.
Yes, of course.
Where's the girl?
Rogue? She's here. She's fine.
Really?
Logan, I'd like you to meet Aurora Monroe, also called Storm. This is Scott Summers, also called Cyclops. They saved your life. I believe you've already met Dr. Jean Grey. You're in my school for the gifted, for mutants. You'll be safe here from Magneto.
All right, we are back after that brief intermission. It is on Mr. Martin to pick his 6th pick. We are now in the back half of the superhero movie draft. Go for it, Brian.
Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. I am going to go with probably the only X-Men movie
Oh, don't you take my
that I'm going to pick.
don't.
And this was a franchise I waited for a long time for it to get right, and I think this is the closest it ever came to getting right.
Damn it.
I love the fact that it's a period piece. And it's got the Magneto at his Nazi hunting best.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
X-Men First Class.
I was like, all right, if no one takes first class, that's my next pick.
I don't think anybody expected this movie to be great either. I feel like it was kind of like the Batman Begins of the X-Men franchise, and that there was probably very little riding on it after coming off of that last installment. The 1-2 punch of Last Stand and X-Men Origins Wolverine left that franchise dead in the water, I think.
Correct.
And everything about this movie, with one glaring exception, January Jones being that exception,
We don't talk about her.
is spot on. I think it's great. And Darwin, I didn't like how how they did Darwin in that movie. That was dirty.
Yeah, a dude that can adapt to everything.
Adapts to nothing.
That. Yeah.
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, he must be Muslim. Couldn't adapt to that baby.
Kevin Bacon as Shaw, great inspired.
cast, right?
From the opening moments of that movie, harkening back to the original scene in the first X-Men movie at the concentration camp, and
Yeah.
extending that scene outward. That was great. I think McAvoy was awesome, and I think this is one of 2 X-Men movies that knew how to use Wolverine properly.
Yes. Yes.
In limited spurts.
Yes, I think Days of Future Past. No, I'm sorry, Apocalypse was the other one that knew how to use Wolverine.
Was that Weapon X?
It was
Yeah,
the
that was
Weapon
Weapon
X
X
facility
cameo,
where he's just
yeah.
tearing ass through it and then he's gone out the door.
That's how you do Wolverine.
That's how you do it. Well, I mean, Apocalypse is not good, but that is how you do Wolverine.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed.
love First Class.
All right, then. For the other 3 of us, How close were you to picking First Class?
It was on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's high up there.
Yeah.
I have another X-Men movie that I'm kind of on the fence on that's up there too, but First Class is the best.
First Class is the best. I agree with that. I refuse to see it in theaters. I boycotted this movie.
Wow.
Oh wow.
I think it came out right in my tail end of Korea. Like I could have gone to see it at the theater on base. And I was like, I saw X3. I'm not going to see this bullshit. And I didn't know who Matthew Vaughn was at the time. And then I finally watched it maybe like 6-8 months after it came out, and I was like, that was a pretty decent X-Men film. And then over time, I'm like, this is a pretty dope X-Men movie. We actually got a little bit of blue and yellow for the first time, I think, in that movie.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Matthew Vaughn. I don't know why he didn't come back for Days of Future Past. But
I don't know if it's Bryan Singer just steamrolled him or something.
Yeah, I'm back, bitches.
Did he do what?
Because
he went into Kingsman right after that.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
Yeah,
He did.
I know because there's a gap of time between
It
First
was like
Class
3
and
years,
Kingsman.
3 or 4 years between that and Kingsman.
Yeah, so I don't know what the fuck was he doing.
No, Kick-Ass was before at First Class. So
Oh,
Yeah, Kick-Ass was before First Class, right?
Yes.
yeah, about a year before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how the fuck Singer
Kick-Ass
got back
2,
in
actually.
there. Oh, we don't talk about
That
that.
one.
No, he didn't direct.
Yeah, he
direct
didn't.
two. He didn't direct two, did he?
Vaughn? I think he did.
Did he?
I don't know.
Nobody cares.
I didn't watch Kick-Ass 2.
Also, that nobody cares. Yeah, it's a great movie. The whole Cuban Missile Crisis as the background. I love that they had the idea of going period piece with these movies.
Yeah.
Now, what they did in these period pieces kind of was lackluster from time to time, but I thought they kicked it off right.
And it harkened back to the first X-Men issue ever, because Magneto used missiles against the military.
Right.
That's right.
in
Right.
that, so
Yeah.
kudos. Good job, guys.
Good job. Well, how were you hopping on the X-Men train after X3 came out? Were you quick to run back for First Class?
Well, we got to remember I was a lot younger when these came out than you guys were, so I was just excited to get another superhero movie. Honestly, I wasn't necessarily like, I hope that this is great. It's more of like a
This is
I really,
chin rubbing.
This is my
quandary?
chin rubbing. Yeah, this
Okay.
is my like, because I didn't like 3 when it came out, but I wasn't as disheartened with it as I am now. You know?
All right, then I can down that. Well then, Mr. Jackson,
Oh, my pick.
floor is yours.
Okay, I'm going to dip into my childhood a little bit. One of my favorites coming up. Probably one of the movies that it's probably up in my top 10.
Just
there
gonna go
for
scratch through it.
Superman 2.
Yep.
You are looking at my seat, you son of a bitch!
No, I am not.
He just switched it like Beetlejuice in the waiting room. Oh, it's like I'm gonna be picking Superman 2 next.
Oh, that was my next pick.
The best of the Christopher Reeve movies, I think, in my
Goddamn
opinion.
right.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Terrence Stamp's Zod and Neil before Zod. That was
It's Houston.
Weasley ass Gene Hackman is.
He goes bald in this one, right?
No, he was bald the whole
first.
time, but
He
like
was
at the
always wearing
end of the
wigs.
movie, when he's in Superman drops him off in the jail because that's how it works. He just takes his wig off.
That's right.
And you see him bald at the
That's
very
right.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, Superman at his pettiest. Like, 'cause he lost his powers, and of course, like
He goes like
to
and
that
beats up
diner,
that-
gets the shit beaten out of him. First thing he does after stopping like Zod and them and everything, gets his powers back. Oh, not repairing everything or making sure everything's all right. No, going back to that diner and beating the shit out of that bully.
Oh my God, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I've said it for years. Superman's a fucking dick.
But to be able to, that was the one thing I liked about Superman. Some of the Superman movies is
That he could be a dick when he needed to be.
well, that too. But I always felt the problem with some of the Superman movies, like they can get boring at times, and he needs something to punch.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
to actually see him fight other villains on his level, it's because nobody else is on his level, basically.
And we tried to explain that to
Batman
filmmakers for
is.
2 decades after that. And then Bryan Singer was like, oh, we'll have him punch something. Great. What? How about an island? Would an island work for you?
Kryptonite continent.
But it's falling from the sky. No, Brian, no.
But we got Kevin Spacey.
We also got Kate Bosworth in there.
In retrospect, Kevin Spacey in a Bryan Singer movie, that's kind of problematic. Like,
Problematic, but hey, I think he was a really great Lex Luthor.
Yeah, he
people
was
say
good.
that.
He was good.
Also, got to give some shout out to Margot Kidder.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think she is a
The
dope
quintessential
Lois.
Lois Lane.
For me, it's Amy Adams, just because I think she's my favorite actress of
it's
all
okay,
time.
it's
yeah.
okay, it's
But yeah, Margot Kidder, she doesn't
She was
fuck
tough
around
as
in that
nails,
movie. Yeah,
man.
she's
She
tough.
didn't
She's
take
great.
any shit. Like,
So you are much younger than us.
Yeah.
Do you remember watching Superman 2 for the first time, or when did you watch Superman 2? Around the old Superman?
She's like, I didn't know Zack Snyder made Superman.
Actually, the first time I watched those Superman movies was in high school when I got into Smallville.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a perfect time, I would say, to watch
It
this.
is.
Especially
Yeah.
because Reed was popping up in there. And
Yeah.
Okay. All right, very well done. All right. God damn it. All right, then.
X-Men Apocalypse.
I am going to dip into the X-Men world, and I'm going to go ahead and take that Days of Future Past off the list.
Okay.
Yeah, that seems to be one of the other more popular movies, despite my utter hatred for it. Why you had it's book pierced hatred. Kitty Pryde goes back in the book, or goes back into her younger self in the books. You have Kitty Pryde in the movie. You have Ellen Page, an amazing actress when she needs to be, right there.
And you use her to send back Wolverine,
And
so
you
we can
use-
have another Wolverine movie.
Exactly.
And here's the problem I have with it. It's not Wolverine getting sent back, 'cause I understand. I get that people love Wolverine. They recognize him and everything.
That's problem number 2 for me.
But the problem is, where do the fucking powers come from? That's like, what sort of power has Kitty Pryde ever... How is she... How, movie?
We only saw Kitty Pryde for 2 seconds in X-Men 3, so we never got a chance to develop all
I guess
the
that's
powers
a good
we could
point.
have.
I blocked that movie from my memory.
Yeah. My number 1 issue
did
with this
they.
movie. Yeah. My number 1 issue is the overexposure of Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique. Coming off of her Oscar win, they're like, "Oh, we have an Oscar winner. We got to just shoehorn the fuck out of her in this movie." Mystique, well, has played some decently sized roles in X-Men comics. This wasn't her. This wasn't her at all.
Yeah.
I don't think she should have been there. I think you send Kitty Pryde back. Let Kitty Pryde hunt down what causes the inciting incident for the Sentinels to come to be. And I think you still have just as intriguing movie. You give the Wolverine cameo, or you just have Wolverine in the future with with the Halle Berrys and I think Daniel Cudmore comes back for Colossus and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, I have issues with that film.
You know,
Although
this
shout out to
movie-
Dinklage, I like the
I
fact
was
that
gonna say-
they take a very small man with very large ideas. I like the
I feel like
juxtaposition.
the one place where this movie really dropped the ball for me is that there's no point in the movie where Peter Dinklage climbs into a Bill Duke suit and starts walking around.
Man, if he had like a
Where is
Sentinel
he?
Bill
Where
Duke
is he?
ma-
Trask? Where is he? Bill Duke Trask.
Bill Duke was
X3.
Trask in X3.
X3.
Yes.
Okay, that's what it is. Yeah.
And it's like, nah, movie, nah.
I knew it. Come on.
It's gonna be like what Me, Myself, and Irene. Whereas like
the water
his like
beads
3
off
kids,
the-
like,
it's
yeah,
like Peter
nothing
Dinklage's
like-
kid is Bill Duke in the X-Men film series. Figure that one out.
All right, then, Brandy, it's on you.
Let's see.
Did we just trash an entire movie like this?
Yeah, right.
I am not a fan of
It's
Days of
on the
Future.
list. We'll
When
see
I
how it
did,
does.
when I did
Didn't even
moving
mention the
past,
Quicksilver scene.
nah, fuck it,
Oh,
fuck it.
that is a
Fuck
great
it.
scene, though.
It's gimmicky. At that point, they did it great, and that's the first time to do it. It's
Yeah.
gimmicky in Apocalypse.
It is a gimmicky in Apocalypse.
Yeah. I assume there's one in Dark Phoenix.
I don't care.
What you got,
All
Brandy?
right, did anybody put Dark Phoenix higher than 60th place on their list?
No, it is. Yes, I did. It's 59 because I forgot to put Constantine on.
It's 55, but that's because I needed Constantine and Justice League and Batman vs Superman and the Thor movies
Oh,
beneath
wow.
it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Jeez.
So you said your pick is Batman versus Superman. right?
No,
Oh,
not
okay.
that's another sore spot. That's up there with Loki. I think my next pick is also a very more of a Brandy pick, to win the game pick, but I'm gonna go with Captain Marvel.
Okay,
That's a perfectly solid choice. I think that's got a broad appeal to it.
Yeah.
that is your third MCU movie.
I love this movie so much. It did everything that I wanted Wonder Woman to do and more, and that it was a little bit. To me, it's more of a solid movie. We talked about that already, but it's just so special to me because I, as a cosplayer, love like playing characters and like going out and interacting with little kids. And normally, I'm like Captain America and all these, little girls are like, oh, women can be Captain America, and that's cool to me. But now they have like their own example on the big screen of like women can kick ass too.
She's a captain too.
Yeah.
She is a captain at that. Yes. Number 42 on my list. I like the fact that we get a young Monica Rambeau in there because the MCU is always looking forward to set things up, and of course we'll see her in WandaVision coming up. That fucking Captain Marvel suit might be my favorite designed superhero suit.
It's pretty solid.
It's
man,
such a
as
good
far
looking,
as-
like those
yeah.
colors, just the way it looks,
And it's functional. Like it's clearly a functional
Yeah.
piece of clothing. That's
yeah.
It's the only like female cosplay that I have that's like you could actually fight in.
I think
Doesn't have any
that
pockets though.
It doesn't have pockets.
like I think who did Chris Anka redesign that when it was in the Marvel comics, and then it was like the same thing that Babs Tarr did with Batgirl, where they made them very like they were based around utility and like and workability and
Like a Batman suit.
Yeah, I love that.
Jude Law. I can always do with some more Jude Law in my movies, man. I thought he was I called it early on. I was like, I don't think Jude Law is going to be great in this movie. He's not going to be a good guy. And nice to see that paid off. What a smarmy, smug dick he was. Jude Law and British people in general play smarmy, smug quite well.
Yeah, they definitely subverted some expectations in there between him and Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah, Ben Mendelsohn.
Mendelsohn's
we
so
just
great.
we
I
just
love him.
assumed because we saw Rogue One, we saw everything else he's ever done,
And he's so hilarious in the movie too. Like he's
is.
unexpectedly funny.
He's got a light side to him, which I really like.
And I actually like the chemistry between Sam and Brie Larson in there.
Yeah.
And you can see where their kind of friendship builds from that movie.
Not enough Coulson is one of my complaints.
I don't know. You see him in that stairwell, and he kind of looks like Conan O'Brien, and I'm like, maybe we got just enough Coulson,
enough
CG
Coulson.
Coulson. But I love the money shot with the flirkin.
Oh,
like
Goose,
that's
Goose.
the crowd pleaser in the
Yeah,
movie. The one
it
complaint
is.
I have about Captain Marvel is that we did not get the Kree Supreme Intelligence as that floating head in a jar.
Yeah.
Which isn't to say. I mean, it's still out there. So
I would have loved it. So it will appear that way to somebody. Like if I were to meet the Kree Supreme Intelligence, I'd be like, head in the jar. I knew it.
For me, it's going to be a Futurama Ronald Reagan head. I would like it if her whole trilogy is just her battling the Kree Supreme Intelligence the whole time, just at different various points and times and angles. But that remains to be seen. All right, then. It is back on you again, ma'am. You still have one MCU film left if you'd like. I would like to remind you that Iron Man 3, Thor 2 are still out there, as well as the Incredible Hulk.
I'm giving him severe side eye. You can't hear.
Severe. Barely turned her neck.
I think I am going to take another DCEU movie and take Man of Steel.
Oh,
Sorry, Daryl.
oh man, she's really playing to win because, well, maybe not because they're gonna think you're him now.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are because
I don't know whether that's gonna hurt you or help you.
He
Well
will defend Man of
known.
Steel to the end of the day.
well known how much
He's ride or die, MOS.
Yeah, somewhere Doug Davison just woke up from a nap and he was like, "I will argue this movie." Please talk about.
Well,
Man of
I
Steel.
really like it. I don't get all the hate that it
enjoy it
gets.
myself.
It's beautiful.
I feel like, and Jermone, help. I don't know. Maybe you will be the one that disproves this. I feel like you either have always liked Superman as a character and hate Man of Steel, or you have never liked Superman as a character and you love Man of Steel.
I feel like, me personally, I've never gotten into him necessarily as a
Motherfucker,
character.
you're wearing a Superman shirt.
This is Superboy, sir.
Okay.
But here's the thing, like comic-wise, like there are very few Superman stories I've been able to get into because as a character, you can't. It's hard to get into somebody who's can do anything basically.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah.
real conflict for him. But yeah, Man of Steel was like, wow, like just being able to see, like it was basically his first day on the job. So
Yes, I try to tell people that all the
He's trying
fucking
to learn the
time.
ropes. He's
Yes,
like-
your Superman wouldn't do that. The Superman you're thinking of has been doing this for quite some time. This is this motherfucker's first week on the job.
And that's my thing with the movie. I left the movie. I'd seen it with a group of people in Vienna when I was living there, and I left, and everybody generally felt okay about it. But at some point in the movie, it had turned for me, and it never ever recovered. And I left the theater, and I'm like, I did not like that. And it took me a couple days of thinking about it to realize it was what it was, and it wasn't Superman. It wasn't. My argument wasn't Superman wouldn't do this. It was that Pa Kent wouldn't have done that.
See,
and
I think
that's
that
where
is-
it went wrong for me.
And that is a valid argument because that's everybody's argument, and I have been defending Pa Kent since 2013. I think he's in the right. He knows that people would lose their fucking minds if they found out, and you see the results of that. People
I would argue that you see the result of that in Brightburn, and I think, but what I'm saying is that's a different movie.
Very different.
So
I think it's a
that's
very,
why for
very
me,
realistic show.
yeah, I mean, you literally
And I think
saw
that's
it
the
in
problem. That's the
BVS,
problem I
like,
have.
Like
Yeah.
Batman, like was paranoid as hell about
Batman's
it.
like, what the fuck are we gonna do about this
He's
guy?
like, he literally said, if there's a 1% chance he could do something like this, we have
Yeah.
to take this as an absolute certain. It's like,
And I
that's
think-
not how
I
percentages
think
work.
Pa Kent is Anyways, Brandy, Man of Steel.
Yes.
Well, I'm thinking about this whole Pa Kent thing to me, and I've never thought of that as something that he wouldn't do.
Yeah,
He wants to protect him.
He wants to protect his boy.
And I feel
man.
like that's like a common theme across all of them. I mean, short of just cutting that scene out, there's no other resolution.
I think if he'd have showed up to rescue his dad during that hurricane, and his dad was like, "Yeah, come get me," that would have been out of character for the Pa Kent who told his kid, "Maybe you should have let that bus full of kids drown to protect."
I
your
agree with that.
identity."
I don't think that was right either. like that wasn't. It's not that it's not my Superman. It's not my Pa Kent. And then everything that comes after that is a result of him not being my Pa Kent. And that's the problem I have with my with Man of Steel.
See, I guess it's because I agree with Pa Kent. It makes sober. See, to me,
You should get that on a T-shirt. I agree with Pa Kent.
or not my Pa Kent.
I'm gonna wear that one to a comic convention.
And people know exactly
The
what you're
fuck are
talking
you talking-
about. No, I think people know exactly what you're talking
Probably.
about. If you, I lost my train of
It
thought.
also
on that
gave
now.
me so much, like my expectations were so much greater for the other, like DCEU movies. I was so hyped for Batman versus Superman. We went in costume. I went with a Batwoman, and yeah, we were
Womp womp.
horribly disappointed.
Like backing out of the theater
That's why
slowly
it's
during
number
Act 3.
60.
All right then. So, fucking man of God. God,
All right, Daryl.
I love that movie.
Please invite me back.
Yeah, this will be your last showing here.
Now Pete Lynch.
Pete, where you at? Come on. I'm here, titties.
Yeah. Well, it's the only movie on here with titties in it. I'm gonna have to go with it.
All right then.
Watch me.
I haven't. I've only got 2 MCU movies, so I guess I'm gonna go ahead and snatch up a third one. Whole plan destroyed. I'm gonna go ahead and no, we're not there yet. I'm gonna take Shazam.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna take Shazam. I'm gonna make some directorial decisions here.
Actually, kind of put that on as an alternate.
I just don't know how popular it is yet.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, because I still haven't seen the third act, people who have seen it loved it.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
It's so much fun.
people enjoyed it. I got invited to a screening, but I still had to host trivia at Thursday Nomad, so I had to dip out of the screening early, right as the third act was starting up, and I just never got back to watching it. What I did see, I was meh about, like, okay, it's something. It's enjoyable enough, and everyone tells me the third act is where things really get great. So I haven't seen it, not quite sure. You really enjoy it.
Yeah, I loved it. It was like, it was essentially like a superhero version of Big.
Yeah.
Yeah, just seeing Zachary Levi, just you could tell he was having fun doing that, just playing a kid being a superhero, and you would think at certain points it would frustrate you seeing these kids make these decisions that they're making in this movie, making these mistakes and everything, but they're kids. They're supposed to make these mistakes.
Yeah, you gotta remember that they're kids. Yeah. Brian, did you watch? You check us out.
Nope, not yet.
Nope.
I need to find enough time to sit down and commit to it. It's hard to find that when it's not in a theater. And there was one day I was like, I think I have the time to do this, and I bought tickets for it. And then that morning I was like, what the fuck am I thinking? I don't have time to do all the things I need to do today and fit a movie in, and I had to go.
It
pass
hurts.
on it.
It is on Blu-ray.
It is on Blu-ray.
Now,
Yeah.
well, now I can't watch it in my home.
Look, punch
I
punch
never
the
get to watch
baby
anything in my
the
house.
face, let him
Punch
go
my
to sleep.
baby in the face.
Go to sleep.
That's the Shazam way.
Shazam when you hit him. Brandy, your
I
thoughts
haven't
on
seen it either, but Zachary Levi's a giant teddy bear, so.
it? So there you go. Jack, vote for me because Zachary Levi is a giant teddy bear. Mr. Martin.
Oh, is it me? It's Jermone.
No, I'm sorry. No, Mr. Jackson.
I'm next. Oh,
Still got one MCU movie left on the table.
Do I want to do that? Yeah, let me go ahead and pick that one off there. My last MCU pick here. Let me pull up Doctor Strange.
Oh, okay. I've heard it for a hot
Interesting.
second with Doctor Strange.
I think it's visually one of the best MCU movies out there. One of the few movies that I thought that was worth seeing in 3D. Like seeing basically almost the Inception level stuff they were doing, playing with reality,
Right.
and messing around with the multiverse. You get of course Benedict Cumberbatch pulling out great performances on Stephen Strange. Tilda Swinton, she was doing her thing as the Ancient One. It's always a joy seeing her.
Love Tilda Swinton.
Yeah.
She's good at
Especially
anything.
Endgame, you get to see a little glimpse of her again.
Again, unexpected.
Yes.
Yeah. And although it's unexpected, but he's like, that makes sense.
Yeah, Chiwetel Ejiofor or whatever. Oh, poor Pangborn getting taking his
Who has
L.
come up multiple times on Poprika. Poor Pangborn just getting his soul snatched out of his body.
There's another T-shirt for you.
Probably one of, I think, to me,
Justice for Pangborn.
to me, I thought one of the most inventive and one of the best endings for an MCU movie or a boss battle or
Yes.
whatever.
Outsmarting.
Dormammu,
Outsmarting it.
I've come to
not only
bargain.
that, but just like literally seeing them have a battle in reverse or whatever. Like,
Yeah. Just wearing your villain down until he's like, fine, fuck,
Okay.
he rage quit. He made the villain rage quit.
This is not worth it.
yeah. Fuck you, Stephen Strange.
Yeah.
And you too, Benedict Cumberbatch.
This dimension
I'm out.
blows.
This dimension- I'm going over to 1610.
Yeah, to see them, actually introduce magic into the MCU and make it work and make have a plausible explanation for it.
Yeah.
It's I just have such a joy for that movie.
It's one of those ones that I saw in theaters, and I was like, all right, it's probably the middle of the pack. And every time I see this, I'm like,
it kinda
all
grows-
right,
it grows on
okay,
you, yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's got one of the few really good scores for a Marvel
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
too. That was Michael Giacchino who did the
hey,
score for that.
lost for the win. Also, was a trivia question on Test Your Might last week. All right, what do you think about the old Doc Strange? Where's that fall in
I'm
the?
about to tell him myself again. This is one I missed because of graduate school. Another one of those I didn't see it in theaters, so
Yeah.
I just haven't watched it.
It was on Netflix.
When was it on Netflix? Was it on
It's
Netflix
been on
while I
Netflix.
was?
Like all the
for a
last,
while,
like the
yeah.
last 18 months or
I
so.
must have just
least,
missed
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I think they just took it off
just
not
may
too
have
long
just
ago.
pulled it, yeah.
They just pulled it. I will let
Missed
you
my
borrow
chance.
my copy of Doctor
I
Strange.
would love that. I
Yes,
missed it.
I'll bring it to you.
It's good stuff.
It's a good fun movie. It's a 2-act movie as far as I'm concerned. Act 1 is origin, kind of that selfish prick that is Doctor Strange. Egotistical and arrogant. That's the word I was thinking. Arrogant Doctor Strange. The accident happens. He ends up in Camartage, finds out what's going on, and then when Caecilius shows up to attack the London Sanctorum, that's the end of Act 1, beginning of Act 2. And almost all of that is action. From then on out, it's him fighting. It slows down a little bit for the Ancient One and her little soliloquy, but then it's right back to the action again.
And I think it was that turning point, kind of like when he has that conversation with the Ancient One, after she falls and everything, and everything's going in slow motion and all that
that's
stuff.
a great scene.
And I think that's when he finally realizes, like when she tells him, like it's not all about you,
Yeah, I gotta step my shit up.
Yeah.
He's meant to be the best of us. All right, then we gotta speed this up a little bit, Mr. Martin.
Spider-Man 2.
That was number 16 on my list. I skipped that for a couple of different things.
So, quick and to the point here. First of all, terrific villain in Dr. Octopus.
Alfred
Great
Molina.
portrayal by Alfred Molina. I think that the lingering tension between Harry and Peter from the first movie pays off in a very nice way in this one.
Yes.
And I think this, out of all the Raimi movies, gives us the most Spider-Man moment of the entire trilogy.
Him struggling to pay rent.
That's true also. Rent? Yeah. It was the train scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the crowd carrying him, and then the kid says, "We won't tell nobody," handing him back his mask. That's
top 10 of all comic book movie scenes.
This is way before social media.
wonderful scene, wonderful movie. I think the theme that Danny Elfman developed for Spider-Man in the first movie was quite good. I think the score for Spider-Man 2 as a whole is good.
Right.
I can't say that about the first one. I think
go get him, Tiger.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That last shot of her staring out the window as he slings off. Gold, solid gold. I still think that one could stand toe to toe with a number of MCU movies.
Yeah. Correct. When Homecoming ended, the credits were rolled, and my first thought was, "Is this better or worse than Spider-Man 2?" Two people beside me, friends, look at each other, and they're like, "Is it above or below Spider-Man 2?" Like it just seemed like that was the barometer for everything to come after it.
That's the watermark, and I still think it's up there. I think Into the Spider-Verse beats it substantially. But as far as the Homecoming and Far From Home, I still think Spider-Man 2 is right in there in the running with them.
Yeah. You got any thoughts for Spider-Man 2?
I mean, I don't actually like it. So it was like, it's on my back of the paper, so it's back there with,
man.
you know.
Where's Spider-Man 3? That's the real question.
It's 15 spots above it, strangely enough.
I like it
Actually,
when he dances.
It's 43. It's above it, but not
Oh
that
my
much.
God! Wow, that's
Wow.
amazing. But
Yeah.
hey, all right. To each
Not
their
a
own.
fan, yeah.
All right, then. Fair enough. All right, then. Well done.
Fine, be
And
that way.
It
I
is
will.
you again, Mr. Martin.
Okay. I think I'm going to go ahead and dip into the MCU for the last time and take Captain America: The First Avenger.
Oh, that's the one I was really waffling on when I took Shazam.
So I don't. Again, this is one I don't know how popular it actually is, but I know that as far as Phase 1 movies go, this is the one that rang truest to me. It felt the most like a comic book movie. Again, I'm a real sucker for comic book movie period pieces. So I loved the fact that they just unabashedly, they said, well, we got to set it in the 40s. So we're setting it in the 40s. I love Cap's arc in the movie. I love how the Bucky beat pans out. And a lot of people laughed about it, but I'm like, how the fuck do you expect the Red Skull to look? Like they were like, he looks like the Mask. I'm like, that's because he's wearing prosthetics. Because he had to. It's the Red Skull. I think Hugo Weaving is awesome as the Red Skull.
Agreed.
And to the extent that was in Infinity War, that was my hammer lifting moment when the Red Skull shows up on Vormir. I'm like, I can't fucking believe they did this. Terrific, because that was one of the lingering threads in the MCU for me that I really wanted to see pan out. And so I still really love the first Avenger.
I dig it. What does anybody else have to say about the first event?
The USO number, also one
My-
of my favorite things about it.
Only complaint about that movie is that you can tell that it's pre-Disney money, so it could have definitely. It's the last movie
I
before
agree.
Disney
It's
bought
Paramount
And
joint, I think.
you can
Yeah.
absolutely tell if you saw it in 3D, because that 3D looked like shit.
Yeah, it was solid. It was a solid solid outing. I would say Cap probably had the most solid trilogy out of the solo MCU characters.
Okay.
One hundo.
Yeah.
One.
And I
Honda.
did like seeing his journey to becoming Captain America.
Yeah.
Like all the stuff he was going through with the other troops and everything, and just showing how good a person he was.
Yeah, the ending of that montage that we seen crowds cheer, and then he does it out in the field, and they're like, "Bring back the girls!"
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. Mr. Jackson,
All right.
floor's yours.
Next pick here. I'm going to go ahead and scoop up X2.
Nah, X-Men United.
Yes.
What I think is the best X-Men movie
Oh,
we have
yes,
ever gotten.
Yes, one of the best.
Very good.
I kind of debate from daily, like between that and in First Class, which is the best of the X-Men, the proper X-Men proper movies. And
Right.
you got the Nightcrawler sequence in the White House, which is like absolutely amazing.
That's up there.
Yeah, the Wolverine Berserker
Yeah, that
rise
opening
in the
scene.
mansion. And to see the story play out, of course, obviously it was centered around Wolverine and everything, but
Yeah, of course.
to have this was probably Stryker at his best before they used him to death in the other X-Men movies.
Brian Cox, man. You can't fuck with Brian
dude
Cox.
with just a simple mission. He's like,
Yeah, a dude who fucking hates mutants.
Oh, the
I'm gonna
things she'll
take
show you.
Use
this
them.
not Legion guy, and then and try and kill all the mutants.
yeah, pretty straightforward. They planted some nice seeds for what was supposed to be a good Dark Phoenix movie, but
Oh man, that was like end credits before end credits,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, it was that little shot of
they
the
were
Phoenix.
hitting all the beats. It was like Magneto. Magneto was probably at his best in that movie.
Everybody, I think, got comfortable in the role. Cyclops is still a bitch, which is what I want to
Shut
see in
up,
my
killed
movie.
me when you had the chance, Charles.
Yeah.
That is my favorite X line. I just yelled at it at work a couple days ago.
I absolutely
Guy's name
loved-
wasn't even Charles.
I love the scene where Mystique shows up in the bar as Rebecca Romaine.
Yeah.
Right. She's
I was
"Can
like,
just get one
hey,
scene, no
that's
makeup, please.
great.
One
So
scene,
cool.
no makeup."
Yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence is like, "Can I pull that off for a whole movie, please?" What are your thoughts on X2?
My favorite part of X2 is like all the imagery that you had that went back to like the whole Holocaust
Yes.
sort of that the original was based on. Like especially when they're like hiding in the mansion and they're opening up all the trapdoors and they're trying to hide the kids as they're
Yeah.
Yes.
Very, very. Is that Anne Frankish?
Yeah.
Kinda
Yeah.
going on there. Yeah, and then Wolverine's final fight, and then off of that,
You don't see a lot of
Colossus-
movies you can say had some real Anne Frank action going.
But that Colossus scene is such a tease. man.
Yeah.
I can help you.
And I just loved just that little brief moment where Magneto's like with him on the plane, and he looks over at Rogue. He's like, "I love what you've done with your hand."
Oh, you dick!
Andy, they say you're the bad guy. Is that what they say?
Yeah.
All right, then. Oh, well done, sir. Well done. I'm going to go ahead and scoop up my third MCU movie.
Really?
Yeah. Just Infinity War and Homecoming. And I'm going to stick in that Spider-Man vein and get Spider-Man Far From Home.
Most recent one.
I'm gonna try to lean on that
The newness.
that new love.
Yeah.
Look, I said it for years. Do not do my Mysterio if you do not have the visual effects for it. And by damn it, they finally got the visual effects for it, and they used the shit out of some Mysterio. Mysterio is a great villain. So much so that I think we talked about it on Poprika. Jake Gyllenhaal is so good. I was like, if they just keep him good, this will be such a good romance between him and Peter. Is he actually going to be good? And of course he's not.
It lulls you, like the person who knows better, into a sense of security about it.
Yeah, because I'm like, their bromance is so good here. I think it was you that brought up that he is kind of like a younger Tony Stark looking type. They even style him to look kind of like Tony Stark. The relationship between Pete and Zendaya or Mary Jane is perfect. That is Pete and Mary Jane.
The fact that it's so adorable.
So adorable. She has her own agency to figure out that he is Spider-Man rather than, just her looking into it. Like that gives her a little bit of character.
Yeah.
And then, his boy Ned and Betty Brant having their whole like trip romance and relationship is great. The quote unquote Nick Fury and Maria Hill of the movie is the Skrulls. I knew Skrulls would be back. I did not expect Skrulls in a Spider-Man movie.
Didn't expect it that quickly. Yeah.
Didn't
The way
expect
they
it that
ended
quickly.
that first post-credit scene, holy shit.
Yeah.
Right?
That was ballsy. That was so ballsy to put Spider-Man in a place like that.
Yeah, they John Wick to him. They John Wick to him. They
put him
left
out
him
there.
with nowhere to go.
Yeah.
At the end of this movie, they bring back J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. Your only possible J. Jonah Jameson. There's a lot about that movie that is right. I still have issues with Tony Stark being his main influence, but still the rest of it is great. You, Brandy, are up next.
Okay, so I am going to pick another non-MCU and get Batman Returns.
Nice. That was 32 on my list.
So I think that Michelle Pfeiffer in that movie as Catwoman does a great performance as a villain.
Yep.
And it's also a great Tim Burton movie. It may not be as great as Batman, but
it's
the original
super
Batman.
Tim Burton.
It's more
But
Tim
it's-
Burton than Batman
yes.
89.
Yeah.
But it's so good.
Yeah.
It is. And I think Tom King's Catwoman pulls a lot from the Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman.
This sort of vampy kind of like oozing sexuality kind of Catwoman. Yeah, for sure.
Except for, when she falls and the cats lick her back to life. I was like, this is a little bit cheesy.
and then they tried to redo that in Gotham, and it did.
Oh, did they? Really?
Yeah.
Is it the same type of...
Yeah, they did a lot in the last season. They did a lot of playback to comics and movies, and that was one of the scenes that they did with her.
Whack.
Straight up.
Danny DeVito is my only Penguin.
Yeah.
I don't care about Josh Gad or anything else. He's shaped like one.
It's always
He
Burgess
looks
Meredith
like
for
one.
me.
Is it really? Is that a joke? Or is
Absolutely, it's Burgess Meredith. I love
All
it.
right.
In fact, can we just take a moment here because I want to protest the fact that Batman 66 is not an option on this list.
I was thinking that too. We needed Spider-Verse and just
I
as
mean,
a joke.
Batman 66 would have got you 0 votes.
Yes.
I don't know.
I would have voted for it.
I don't know.
I love that
You might be
movie.
surprised. I think we've come back around now on it.
Yeah.
And I think culture is embracing it
So
way
you
more than they
wanted
did around
some,
89.
some bat shark repellent spray.
Yeah, so that's-
didn't you?
And I mean, I've been watching a lot of that show lately
Yeah.
too.
Just
And
can't get rid of a bomb.
they just can't get rid of
the Catwomen on that show,
Yeah, is that Eartha Kitt and
Lee Merriweather.
Brother.
Yeah.
I will say this
Julie
about Burgess
Julie
Meredith's
Newmar.
Burgess Meredith's Penguin. Penguin always seemed like he wanted to be a classy type of criminal, and Burgess Meredith is that, whereas Danny DeVito is just straight thug.
Danny
the whole
DeVito
time.
is basically like the character he plays on It's Always
It's
Sunny.
always sunny. It's sleazy,
Just
slimy.
eating a fish.
Get raw,
Eating a raw
just
fish.
trying to get up in that Michelle Pfeiffer. Damn good bit. And that's where we get the Billy D. Williams, Max Schreck, Christopher Walken, the giant Gotham tree and all that. A good Christmas movie.
Yes.
Batman Returns. All right, is that on? Nope, it's back to you again, right? Yeah.
The other movie I'd like to petition,
pick?
Batman
It
movie
is your
that
last pick.
is
No, next
I've
to
got-
last.
I've got two
Next
more.
to
Is
last.
that we should have put Lego Batman movie on here too because I love that one. It's a great, solid Batman film.
All right,
You guys
fine.
can argue with me on that one, but all right, my last MCU pick is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Oh, okay. She got 1 and 2.
So I really liked the second one.
Mm-hmm.
2, I thought that again, it was solid all the way around. I didn't think that it fell into a lot of traps that most sequels fall into, where you try to hammer in the same sort of stuff that you did in the first. I will say that I didn't like how they seemed to revert back to arguing. Because they seem to have gotten their teamwork down by the end of 1, and then we get back to 2, and
Well,
I think they
in fairness,
tried
were
to
only,
play that.
It took place only 4 months after the first one.
I think 4 months they would have jailed, but
Yeah.
I think they wanted to show that families do
squabble.
argue.
Don't get along, yeah.
Yeah, as much as. I mean, that's fucking Michael Rooker, man.
he's Mary Poppins.
He's Mary Poppins, y'all. That kills. Yeah, that kills. It hurts to see him go. That he might have been to he might have been your daddy, but it's not your father.
Yeah, he
been
might
your
have
father.
been my father,
Might have been
but
father,
but
but
you
your
ain't your daddy.
Yeah, I was just like, you're right. I mean, you my daddy too.
And then the funeral scene with the
Yes.
Cat Stevens song playing. That Cat Stevens song gets me every time I hear it, just on its own merits. And then you put it in that context, and I'm just gone.
You
And
get
they all come back and
the
they
old
bring you back,
Guardians.
yeah.
It's like, let's go steal some
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
But people forget that Sylvester Stallone and Miley Cyrus
Yeah.
are now Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. Also, what was
Michael
that?
Rosenbaum.
Yeah,
Ving
Michael
Rhames.
Rosen-
Yeah, Michael. Yeah, that's
Show Yo. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's such a weird. Like, hey, what are you doing on Tuesday? Hey, what are you doing on Tuesday?
About as wacky as the actual Guardians.
How weird can we go? Get Michael J. Fox in here. What's he up to? All right, well done. All right, it's over to me. I'm going to take my last MCU joint, and I'm going to go Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Interesting.
That's an interesting pick.
It is. Without it, you don't get Endgame
That's true.
at all. It's very influential. You get more agency from Hope Van Dyne in there, and I think Wasp is far better superhero than Ant-Man is in that movie.
She's much more competent. Yeah.
Much more competent, and you see that in the way she fights. Walton Goggins can do no wrong in my eyes. He is such a one-note MCU villain, but he has fun being that when it's Sonny Birch, there is Sonny
Yeah.
Birch.
Yeah.
And the whole speech about the undercarriage of a car, which mine is currently fucking up. It's great. It is great. Not enough Michelle Pfeiffer. I love bringing in Lawrence Fishburne as Bill Foster. I wish we got to see, a little bit of Giant Man action from him, or Goliath action from him. But Ghost was a competent enough villain. I think between Sonny Birch and Ghost, they are both one note enough, but together they're both enough nuisance to drive the plot along.
You guys seen the Michael Pena action figure for the Marvel Legends line?
No.
That shit looks just like him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Like, we
they
all
got
need to
him
have
right.
one of those on our desk.
I always said, before I said Ant-Man and Wasp was like the Ferris Bueller's Day Off of the MCU.
Really?
Well, yeah, I mean, he basically...
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
because he's trying to
has
outrun everybody.
He's supposed to
He has
be
to
at
get
home
back-
sick,
yeah.
quote unquote.
Yeah.
Right?
He's out having an adventure and he has to get back to, by
I've never thought of that
Yeah.
before. Randall Parks is goofy ass
Yeah.
up in there. Yeah. Well done. So Ant-Man and the Wasp. Mr. Jackson.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pick a more recent pick here.
Next to last.
Maybe dip into the DCEU here with Aquaman.
you.
Damn it. I haven't seen Aquaman. That was the only DCEU movie I was going to put on.
Dude,
Shit, I was watching I was
you
watching
know,
at work today.
After, I think after BVS, I was like kind of on the fences about Aquaman and everything. And then, seeing Jason Momoa kind of do his thing in Justice League and then Aquaman, I was like, he looks like he is having the time of his life playing this character.
He is.
Yeah, it is like I never expected to have that much fun watching that movie.
I mean, yeah, James Wan said he wanted it to be an underwater Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
movie.
and it was.
And it's got that kind of swashbuckle type feel to it.
Yeah, a lot of that adventure vibe in there. You thought Tamora Morrison was going to catch an L there, but but it was actually a really compelling story, believe it or not, and it looked beautiful visually, like the Lannis
trench
scenes
scene.
and everything. Yeah, and the trench.
Brandy, Aquaman, thoughts?
I haven't seen it either.
And Brian, you said you haven't seen it.
I just so my friend Maggie was texting me about this movie last
Gyllenhaal?
night. No, different Maggie.
Okay.
And she said,
Maggie
"I'm
Sif.
watching Aquaman, and whoever did the costume design for this movie should never fucking work again." Is what she said. But she also said she fucking hates Patrick Wilson, and she said, "Okay." She sent me this 14 minutes ago. Okay, told my mom we watched Aquaman and showed her Patrick Wilson, and she got angry too.
Wow. Him as the ocean master is okay. I love that they harkened back for a little bit to the classic Aquaman outfit.
Yeah.
That was great to see. It didn't look goofy. Kind of like, all right, that kind of makes sense.
Julie Andrews.
Julie Andrews up in there. Nicole
What?
Kidman up in there. Oh, you didn't know, sir?
I didn't
Yeah.
know. Was that a spoiler? That
You
Julie
got Mary Poppins and Django Fett in a movie together?
Yes.
Crazy.
John Hanson getting some
All
more of
right,
that
then.
DC money.
All right, gonna have to check it out.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right, we're running out of time here. Aquaman. Brian, what you got?
all right, my ninth pick is Superman the movie, and this is where this is where that line is drawn for me between Man of Steel and the classic Richard Donner Superman. I think that the everything that was done in that origin movie was spot on. I think the origin part is good. The movie's a little bit slow.
Yeah.
But I think what it does for Superman as a character is that's iconic Superman to me. The meeting between him and Lois at night on her balcony,
yeah.
is just gold to me. I love it, and I love the score. John Williams' theme is the most iconic superhero theme ever made. Yeah.
All right, and your final pick, sir.
My final pick, now that Aquaman's off the table, is going to be Watchmen.
You fucking ass.
Damn it.
Yeah, the only Zack Snyder movie on my list. Yet they said it couldn't be done, and yet I think this movie's about as good as it could get. I think it reads like a Cliff Notes version of Watchmen. I don't think it achieves 1/10 of what the graphic novel achieves. But from a visual standpoint, it's hard to argue that they pulled something off with it. And I mean, it's more than a blue dong, guys. Check it out.
Yes. All right. It's Jermone. What is your final pick? Oh, before we do that, Brian's list is Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Captain America Civil War, Thor Ragnarok, Hellboy 2, X-Men First Class, Spider-Man 2, Captain America The First Avenger, Superman 1, and Watchmen. Brian, or Jermone, what is your final pick?
I'm going to go with the original X-Men.
The original X-Men. Makes sense. It's up next on my list, too.
Yes.
Speak on it real quick.
You know, it was at that point where we didn't know superhero movies could be a thing. You know, after it was like, you know, pretty much the first one right after Blade, you know, kind of testing the waters. But this was like at the time, first time, it hit like a force.
Yeah.
That first time you see Wolverine popping those claws, like holy shit, it's something else.
Yeah.
Such a wonderful movie. Like they made Toad a better in that than they ever did in the comics.
Agreed.
Of course, the same thing happens to him as everything else when it starts.
And
Stop.
Patrick Stewart was just picture perfect.
Yeah, people. I mean, that's one thing.
One of the few things
casting
Wizard
call.
pulled. Yeah, they actually called it. Yeah.
All right.
He's bald. Whatever.
Bald white guy, get him in here. My final, I'm going to go with Deadpool 2.
All right.
Good.
Is it because of the Juggernaut? I would put it on there because of the Juggernaut.
Holy shit!
Looking at what we have left, yeah, I'm going to go with Deadpool 2. No, I'm not. Actually, yeah, I am. I'm going to go with I can't pick another MCU, so I'm going to go with Deadpool 2. We get a good Colossus. We get a more mature Negasonic Teenage Warhead. She's got herself a little girlfriend. That's it's like, hi Deadpool. I think Josh Brolin as Cable was good. We had the TJ Miller. He's shirt cocking it line, which never will not make me laugh.
Domino, man.
Zazie
Domino's
Beetz as
Beetz,
Domino is
yeah.
the perfect pull.
And the X-Force scene had me howling.
And Brad Pitt,
Yeah.
perfect for his half a frame of a scene,
And
is,
the
and
mid
Peter
credit
as well.
sequence, the mid credit sequence
Oh,
alone
yes.
is worth the price of
What was the
admission.
mid-credit sequence?
When
I
he
don't know.
travels back in time
And
and
shoots
kills,
himself?
Yeah, shoots himself.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
solid.
Deadpool 2, my final. So Jermone's final list is The Dark Knight, The Winter Soldier, Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier, Marvel's The Avengers, Iron Man, Batman 89, Superman 2, Doctor Strange, X-Men 2, X-Men United, Aquaman, and X-Men. Mine is Infinity War, Logan, Wonder Woman, Batman Begins, Spider-Man Homecoming, X-Men Days of Future Past, Shazam, Spider-Man Far From Home, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Deadpool 2, and it all comes down to your last pick, Miss Blanton.
Well, the only two that I have left in the top 40 that are not MCU are Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man, which I just put up there because I did not like the other 20. So I'm going to go with Spider-Man, as that is the very first Spider-Man movie that we got. It's the very first time we saw Uncle Ben get shot before that got, run to death.
She got run to death in comics.
So yeah, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. All right. I think that is it. You kind of had to rush the ending, but studio time is at an end.
I do have to make one comment here. I'm really unhappy that no Fantastic Four movies made it onto this drawable pile. Not because you didn't add them, but because none of them have warranted being on this list.
I'm a fan and didn't pick them.
That is it. We will have these up to vote for a week anonymously, or our list will be anonymous. You guys vote on what you think is the best out of these drafts. In the winner, we'll get this giant ass infinity gauntlet we have here. So if you are a fan of that,
Jermone has been snapped out of existence.
someone's taking that home. You guys
Paprikas, I don't
vote
feel so
smartly
good.
and take it easy and have a good one.